just what you want. You're the one I trust. I belong to you, and I'll always be around when I need some loving, baby. And I'll never let you down, let you down, let you down. I'm your song, and you're playing all my melodies. There's no one else, 'cause baby we got chemistry. You give me feelings that I never knew. This heart of mine will always and forever belong to you. You and me were meant to be as one. The universe has known it all along. Maybe this is where our story starts. Maybe it was written in the stars, written in the stars. You will be forever, yeah, yeah. You will be written in the stars. You will be forever, yeah, yeah. You will be. Take me to your heart, take me to your soul, never drawn apart, 'cause I belong to you. Be my guiding star, 'cause I need your loving, baby. And never let me down, let me down, let me down. I'm your song, and you're playing all my melodies. There's no one else, 'cause baby we got chemistry. You gave me feelings that I never knew. This heart of mine will always and forever belong to you. You and me were meant to be as one. The universe has known it all along. Maybe this is where our story starts. Maybe it was written in the stars, written in the stars. You will be forever, yeah, yeah. You will be written in the stars. You will be forever, yeah, yeah. You will be written in the stars. You will be forever, yeah, yeah. You will be written in the stars. You will be forever, yeah, yeah. You will be written in the stars.
Actually think of me as less than you. Just wish that I knew how something like that could happen. Maybe it's just in passing, 'cause nothing is everlasting, no. But like really though, how do you know that I can overcome all of the obstacles? She just looked me in the eyes, said it's gonna be alright, 'cause I know that's how it goes. The only thing we know is that we change. Nothing's ever gonna stay the same forever, forever. No, it won't, 'cause no one ever does. You just have to learn and learn to trust whenever. As blue as the sky above you, it's true that it won't end this way. If you lose and get sad about it, just know it's gonna go away. It doesn't make sense for somebody else. stay the same forever. No, it won't get slow and never does. You just have to learn to trust whenever. As blue as the sky above you, it's true that it won't end this way. If you lose and get sad about it, just know it's gonna go away. As blue as the sky above you, it's true that it won't end this way. If you lose and get sad about it, just know it's gonna go away. I'm telling you that there ain't no other way. Pack your bags and then you will go away. I'm not gonna be begging you to stay. Said maybe if you asked me yesterday, I would handle this differently. Things are different, I'm a new me. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. So even if you're asking, even if you're asking, 'cause I do what I do, and it's time for something new, yeah. Gotta know when to let go, gotta know when to let go, gotta know when to let go. Sometimes giving up can make it grow, can make it grow, can make it grow. Don't wanna be stuck in a spot, telling you it ain't what I thought. Don't wanna be stuck in a spot, 'cause I don't really like what I got, so I changed it bit by bit. It's not ungrateful, just being helpful for me and you. 'Cause we gotta go our own way, gotta go our own way, yeah. This was not a good stay, gotta go our own way. 'Cause I do what I do, and it's time for something new, yeah. Gotta know when to let go, gotta know when to let go, gotta know when to let go. Sometimes giving up can make it grow, can make it grow, can make it grow. I don't appreciate the chase. Now there's nothing here for me, yeah. I gotta go, I'll fly away to a new space. You know, I don't appreciate the chase. Now there's nothing here for me, yeah. I gotta go, I'll fly away to a new space. Gotta know when to let go, gotta know when to let go, gotta know when to let go. Sometimes giving up can make it grow, can make it grow, can make it grow. Sometimes.
Hello, welcome to the show, Mature Topics Podcast, episode 5. Tonight we got a very, very important show, and we got some special guests in the building. So let me get my trusty executive producer in the building. What's up, Launch Pro?
Hey there, what's going on, man?
Not much. We just chilling. We get ready to get the show started. We got a very, very special guest in the building, health and wellness coach, certified out of Cornell University. Tonight's show is going to be lit. Are you excited?
I'm really excited. This is a topic that we really have to discuss,
Yes, yes,
and it's going to be transformational, I believe.
yes, yes. So before we get started, I do want to take care of some housekeeping. So I'm gonna start with the disclaimer. So babe, we stepping up our game each week. We got a new wrinkle to the show. So
For
the views
sure.
and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views and positions of the sponsors. We don't have sponsors yet, but we're putting it out to the ethers, right? So that's the first disclaimer. The second disclaimer is this podcast represents Koron's Pierre's and his guest opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for informational purposes only, and because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. So we just had to take care of that early, get that out the way. We don't want nobody going crazy. Salute to the people that's on IG following the show. Definitely transition over to YouTube because this is where it's at. This is going to be the biggest show each and every Thursday. We got, open panel discussions. We're going to be having expert guests come through. So I just want to start off there. Also, if you feel free to hit the Cash App if you want to support the show. We do appreciate all the love. Let's get the banner cracking. Get the nice little floating banner. Also, you can also join the panel as well. I think we should open up the panel launch after we do the interview with William, right?
Yeah, definitely. Or I mean, you can let
That'll make
everyone
more.
in, and silence their mics in the meantime.
No problem, no problem. So before we get started, I always like to give some context to my streams. You know what? Let's introduce William first, and then we'll add the context. Let's get Will up in here.
What's
How's it
going on?
going, William?
I'm good. I'm good.
So everybody, we have a very special guest in the building tonight. This is not only a good friend of mine. This is somebody who has been doing a lot of big things. He's been a consultant for 12 years, and now he's into the health and wellness phase. He got his certification at Cornell University. Please, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present William Bradford. How's it going, man?
Definitely great, man. How are you?
Everything's good, man. We're so excited to have you on the show tonight. Mental health is a very, very serious thing
Hmm.
that people need, help with. So we would like to, give the people some good advice, good suggestions, good tips, see if we could point them in the right direction
For sure.
because mental health is very important. So is there anything you would like to let the audience know about yourself?
Well, we're talking about mental health, and I'm sitting in a room that assists me with minds. For those who know, I'm also a musician, and I'm sitting in a studio, right? So this
Nice.
is kind of my safe place. This is where I feel comfortable. Having a bad day, I come down here, listen to music, make music. Um, I even speak to people here in this room, so they know that they should have a place to go to if they're feeling kind of down. Where's your safe place? For most people, it's just up here, and for some people, up there is not safe enough to have. So this is
Nice.
where I am, and I hope
Nice.
everyone listening can get one.
Yo, you know what? That's a great Honestly, that's some good advice. I think we all need that space where we can be ourselves, where we can enjoy the things that we like to do. So
For
that's a
sure.
beautiful thing. So before we get in, and I know you have some things you want to share with the people. I always do this every week. I always give context before
Okay.
we get started. So let me share my screen. I want to point the people to a very, very important resource. Give me a second. It should pop up in a second. Still getting used to these controls. Let's make it bigger. Can you guys see that? Or do
Yes,
I need to zoom in more? Because I can't.
you can zoom in a little bit more.
There we go. Bam, bam. That should be good. So, what is mental health? People, they definitely spend a lot of time talking about mental health, and a lot of people may not actually understand what it's about. So, mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through to adulthood, right? So, important to know the different stages of over the course of your life. If you experience mental health problems, your thinking, mood, and behavior could be affected. many factors contribute to mental health problems. So you have the biological factors, such as genes or brain chemistry, right? Life experiences, trauma. A lot of people go through trauma. And also your family history of mental health issues can also be passed down, right? So these are some of the early warning signs here. If you see anybody eating or sleeping too much or too little, pulling away from people in usual activities, doing things differently, having low or no energy, feeling numb, it's a whole list of things here that if you notice people, drifting away from normal patterns, that could be a sign that they need help, right? So here's some of the positive mental health things when it comes to health and wellness. When people realize their full potential, coping with stress, the stresses of life, being able to handle that, working productively, and making meaningful contributions to their communities, right? So some of the things you can do, like we're going to talk about tonight, is get help. And this is a government website, mentalhealth.gov. This is a great resource you can go to. And listen, if you know someone going through something, or if you're going through something and you don't want to come out with it, you can go about getting help, and no one has to know, right? So you could go here. They got some resources here. So just go to mentalhealth.gov. And I'm pretty sure William has some things that he can share with you as well. So let me take this down off the screen, and then we'll get into William. So you have some things you sent me. Do you want to jump into that right now?
I did. Yeah, we can jump into either or, and whichever one you jump into, I'll explain in detail. We look at the picture first. If you have any questions just from looking at the picture, you can ask those, and then I can go into some detail.
No problem. So let me put one of the items on the screen. I got it here. StreamYard's screen sharing capabilities is a little weird. I'm still getting used to it, but I think I got it right here. So here's the first one here. You got reciprocal determinism.
Correct.
What's that about?
So reciprocal determinism, it is a triangle, as you can see, but it's the way a person thinks affecting their behavior or their environment. And it can work in either or. So you can have a person who's in a crappy environment that affects their behavior. We've seen that story, us growing up in Brooklyn, New York, plenty of times, correct? You have a person that is acting out, and the way they're thinking is just, I don't know what the issue is. They're just out of the norm. I don't know what's going on. They're acting out. What's their environment? For instance, a child at school acting out, what's going on? Their environment. When they go home, what's going on there? That's causing them to act out. So it kind of goes in this triangle to where two are affecting the other at a time, or one is affecting two at a time. So a good example and a fun example, I don't want to get too deep before we get into actual, depression and things like that. But if you walk in, Koron Pierre walks into a buffet and you grab 3 plates, right? You get your main course, you got a plate of fruit, you got a plate of seafood. You take all of that and you bring it to the table. What's your thought process? Why are you behaving that way? If you went to a regular restaurant, would you have ordered 3 main courses? You wouldn't have, right? You probably would not. But your environment is affecting your behavior and the way you're thinking. So that's a perfect example of reciprocal determinism without going too deep into what's going on. So that's like an easy way to think about it, based on walking into a buffet. You're already thinking that I'm going to overeat. Why? Because you're in a buffet. That's the reason you're behaving, and then you're thinking the way you are. That's the easy way to explain it. Yeah.
So it's like each of these 3 concepts or things, they kind of have an effect on each other.
Correct.
You as a person with behavior in your environment, right?
So you as a person, is your thought process, the way you're thinking cognitively. And then you have behavior, which your thoughts can affect your behavior. Your environment can affect your thoughts, so it's a reciprocal thing. And a lot of people don't know that or don't pay attention to it. And they'll be wondering why they're thinking the way they're thinking and not really paying attention to their environment. Some people are behaving a weird way, and they don't understand why they're doing it, but they're not really paying attention to their thought process prior to doing that thing. A lot of the times where that comes in is when you are addicted. So addictions and bad habits, things you're trying to get rid of, and you can't. Why can't I get rid of this? Well, your thought process and the environment you're in they keep enabling you to continue the same behavior. So you have to change your thought process and your environment to change your behavior a lot of times.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good points. Lance, you got anything you would like to ask on this point? Or is it clear to you? I know she's going to have
Definitely clear
questions.
to me. Yeah, definitely clear. Very interested. This is the first time that I'm ever hearing about reciprocal determinism.
Hey, this is that good Cornell University education. So, you know, this is the real deal
Absolutely.
here.
Thank you so much,
We
Will,
gotta,
for imparting this value.
No problem at all. And
I'll leave it up
let's
there.
throw in Morehouse College too now. Let's throw in Morehouse College too.
Salute.
Let's throw that in. Make sure we get that.
Salute. But for those in this, if you want to take a picture of this chart, you could get a nice little screenshot of it, and then we're gonna move on to the other slide.
Mhm.
Let's see if I can get this thing cracking here.
Okay.
Salute to Kemi. I see you in the building. I'm gonna let you on in a second. Just give us a second. We got William Bradford here, Cornell University, certified health and wellness coach. He's doing his thing. So he has another slide we're gonna go over, and then we're gonna open up the panel to get some other people involved. Because on this show, this is an open panel discussion. If you are in the chat and you want to come on the panel, feel free to click the link. The link is everywhere. It's in the description. It's in the chat. And we would love to get you on. So let me try to get this other image. Okay, I think I got it. No, okay, hold on. No, that's not it. It should be, the wellness circle. Okay.
All right.
So I'm looking forward to this. This is the wellness circle. All right. Let me zoom in a little bit more.
Right.
Oh, that looks interesting.
Is that good? Yeah. This is some good stuff right here.
Okay. So before we get started, within this is mental wellness. All of them together. A lot of people will look at this list and say, well, where's mental wellness? All of it. It has everything to do with a person's mental wellness. So you may see this in a 6 form, like I've adapted this. I believe in this one, but there's a 7 where they actually split occupational wellness and they call it financial wellness. But I tend to argue for 90% of us, 95% of us in this world, occupational wellness is financial wellness. Then you got a certain small few of people who don't have to worry about an occupation, whether they're entrepreneurs or not. But most of us, occupational wellness will become financial wellness if we take care of it.
Copy.
So we can go one by one, whichever one you want to talk about first. We can dive in.
Let's talk about social wellness,
okay,
and emotional wellness, because I think those are the 2 things people are struggling with. Not the most, but I think I want to, for tonight's topics, I think we could go into those 2.
Okay.
To see, what we can get out of it.
Sure. So social wellness. I know you think social wellness, social media, but that's the wrong thought. Social wellness is how you adapt to all people, not just online, because a lot of people are a totally different person when they're in social media as opposed to in real life. So what you want to focus on with social wellness is your real circle, however small it may be, however big it may be. How do you connect with them? I know a lot of people nowadays, they utilize this term that they're misusing, which is introvert. They say they're introverted, and the reason that they're not hanging out is because they're an introvert, and they're just confused. And you not wanting to go out is not being introverted. Liking being alone and liking your time alone has nothing to do with continuously wanting to be alone. So I think we're misunderstanding that. A lot of times when we use these words is because we heard it elsewhere. We heard it in the movie, we heard it in a commercial. It sounded good when somebody else said it, and now we use it. I think that's a mistake. So we have to sit back and say, okay, how is my social circle? When I think of wellness, can I pick up a phone and schedule a lunch with a couple of friends if I wanted to? No is a big red flag. Like that's a huge deal. Like, you think you don't need 10, 20, 25 friends, but if you can't call 2 or 3 people to meet with you for a brunch, or meet with you for lunch or a dinner or a drink, you have some soul searching to do, because that's basically saying that you've neglected the people in your circle to where you can't pick up the phone and schedule something so close in time to see them. So that's something that you may want to pay attention to if you are finding yourself, in that position.
Right. Okay. So you as a wellness coach,
Mm-hmm.
if you would have had to help someone with their social well-being, like what would be the first thing you would say to them to help them with, navigate that area?
So to overcome that hurdle of being socially unwell,
Right, being right, exactly. Yep.
I would definitely want to discuss with them who they feel are close friends. That's the first thing you want to discuss, because there's people who are surrounded by others constantly, and you ask them who are your close friends, and there's nothing. It's like dead silence. So you really want to understand what the person's thinking. How do you feel about your social wellness? And you get them talking, and then you understand what's going on. So for instance, if I'm talking to a person that's saying, I'm just out of a bad marriage and I've been going out constantly. So, you get divorced and you have this burst of, I need to get out there and do what I was missing. Right. So they go out there, they're dating. And then I sit down and talk to them and I ask them, what's going on? And they're still empty. They're
Right.
empty because they're not getting what they got in their marriage, or, maybe because they got divorced, their social circle was, pulled apart. So you have to understand that a person that's socially unwell, it can be because of them. It can be because of external issues. You just have to find out what's going on. So if a person is in a situation, whatever that situation may be, they need to be honest with themselves and say, if I'm looking for friendship, I need to go somewhere where I can make friends. And I know as an adult, it's so weird, right? You're like, go make friends. We don't even know how to do that. So instead of thinking about, I'm going out, like you're going to go and walk up to somebody and ask them to be your friend. That's not what I'm talking about. But go somewhere where you would hang out with your friends if you had those friends. You know what I mean? Because that's where you're going to meet that people, that group. So if you are, quote unquote, a nerd and you feel that you're nerdy, go where the nerds are. What do you consider a nerd? Am I hanging out at the art museum? Am I going to Comic-Con? It's like whatever you feel your group of nerds will be, go there. If you feel you're very you're a very introverted person, but that you feel that you should hang out with people, you can find other introverts. You know what I mean? It's like most people can be, loving their alone time. But for instance, what we're doing now, an introvert would thrive at. But I'm talking to people, you know what I mean? I'm having a deep conversation with a friend right now in front of plenty of people, and whoever will see it later.
Right.
But there's a way to where we're connecting right now, right? We're talking. I feel like I'm with someone, and you just have to find what works for you. And a lot of all of this wellness circle has to do with, a lot of self-identification. You have to sit with yourself and understand why your situation is the way it is. And how much did you have to do with that?
Copy. So I want to salute Sherry for coming in the building. I'm definitely going to get you on the panel. I just want William to get a couple of things out. And we're going to definitely get you and Kimmy in here. So, great stuff, man. This health and wellness is pretty exciting, man. How you just broke that down, giving people some advice. So let's talk about emotional wellness.
Okay.
I think that's another key thing that we can get something. And then if anyone want to touch on some of the other things, we can touch on it too. But let's talk about emotional wellness.
Sure.
Yeah. Go ahead. Elaborate.
All right. So emotional wellness, how you handle yourself. And here we go again. It's like how you handle yourself, right? A lot of people think that, they're making me mad. This person's making me sad. This job's making me unhappy. But who's allowing all of that?
You are.
Exactly. So When we're talking emotional wellness, we have to give ourselves a lot more credit than we do, stating that we have the power to be happy. We have the power to stay mad. And I think I just wrote a blog on this, and it was basically stating, how often do you find yourself angry and then feeling better, but tell yourself to be angry longer because you should be angry? You know what I mean? Like, I should be mad at that. I'm not mad anymore, but what they did, I should be mad. So I'm going to stay mad.
That's deep. That's so applicable to me right now.
Yeah. So that's
you're expecting. So that's kind of, your little.
Yeah. So that's emotional wellness. It's just, how are you handling this? Do we ever do the other side of that? Have you ever been happy, felt your happiness tapering down and said, no, I need to be happy longer? Hell no, never. We don't do that. So why are we embracing the negative so easily? But the positive is corny. We can't do that. We can't be happier longer. We can't make ourselves happy, but we'll stay sad and roll up in the bed for the whole weekend. We'll stay mad when we're actually feeling okay because we're supposed to be. But we won't allow ourselves to be happier longer because we deserve it.
Wow.
That's emotional wellness right there. So it says focus on your thoughts, stress levels, and emotions, but it's the key word is your. And you have to focus on you.
So you got some people in the building. Not what you said, but I think it's something that we have to learn. What do you mean by that?
I think how to take accountability for yourself, how to take accountability, how to take self-ownership over your emotions. I think that's challenging for us. How do you do that?
Okay. So I'm gonna get a couple of more people in the stream. I'm gonna get Kimmy and Sherry in here. Hello, Kimmy and Sherry. Loyal Mature Topic Podcast panelists. How's it going? Kimmy, your mic's muted.
Yeah, I just
there we go. How's it going, Kimmy?
All right.
So, Will, he was just basically, going through this chart here, and tonight's topic is, how to improve mental health, and we also do have another topic as well, which is surviving depression while dating or in a relationship. It doesn't say that, but that's also the other thing we are tackling tonight. So if any one of you guys have any questions you want to ask him about the chart or anything else, you can, because I got some questions. So I don't want to hog the mic.
Got you.
Like I'm known to do, right? Right, Launch?
Right.
Okay, I'll stop. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I personally don't have any questions, but I was listening. It's very relatable, and I definitely understand it. And yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So why, in your opinion, do you think that mental health, or health and wellness in this case, is taboo? Like, people don't want to address it.
So that's to me.
Yeah, that's to you. Yeah, you're the go-to guy tonight.
Okay, cool. So yeah,
taking the night off.
No problem. As far as why people don't address it or it's taboo, I mean, to be honest, when we grew up, no one seen anybody. You know what I mean? So there was like, oh, he's going through something. He was just going through something. He didn't see anybody about it. He didn't go see a doctor. He didn't talk to a coach. None of that that's really new. That's really a millennial thing, that we're comfortable doing that, as opposed to sucking it up and suffering through, and some people never getting through. You're just suffering, right?
Right.
It's no longer taboo because honestly, people see it more. People who we admire or look up to, you can hear them saying, oh, well, I went to go see, or I'm seeking help for this. And since they're okay, just being a person, you see somebody you admire or respect, you're open to it now. I found myself, I wouldn't even say that young. I was in college and it was like, I don't really get going to talk to someone and them being able to help me. They don't know me. Right. That was my attitude for a long time. But the thing is, sometimes it's perfect to speak to a person who doesn't know you because there's no prejudice, right? There's no, oh, well, this is how you are, which is in every argument everyone ever has, right? It's like, this is how you are. This is what you do. But if you're talking to a professional, that's not known in the first couple of conversations. So you can get some stuff out that people in your circle would not listen to because they've heard it for the 30th, 40th time. But when you're talking to a professional, they're listening differently. So if I'm telling somebody, hey, I'm here to help you, what is it that you would like help with?
Right.
And I'm just letting them talk. That person 9 out of 10 times has never been able to talk uninterrupted. So I'm getting a wealth of information just being quiet and letting this person finish the story they've tried to tell 30 or 40 times for the first time.
Wow. We got some comments in the on the YouTube. Let me put up another comment. We don't address mental health because we accept too much dysfunction and negativity, mainly in the Black community. We grew up around negativity, dysfunction, and struggle, and they think it's normal. It's funny that he says that. I do think that people think that dysfunction is normal. Like, you grew up this way. So because you grew up this way, this is the way things are supposed to be. And then it's not until they leave that, circumstance,
right,
then they see, oh, wait a minute, this isn't life. Like, oh wow, like I see how people are doing things differently.
Right. Well, I got news for Travis. I agree with them. Negativity, dysfunction, and struggle is normal, but so is seeking help. So is getting help. You know what I mean?
That's why we're doing this show.
And if we're gonna think and agree that those three things are normal, then we need to add one more and add seeking help. A lot of people, maybe you won't jump straight into seeing someone, but you may grab a self-help book. You may watch a couple of self-help videos. You know what I mean? So I have Drills Talk on YouTube, right? So Drills Talk is specifically for the people who don't want help from anybody else. That is exactly who the target audience is. I want to know, but I don't want you to know I want to know. And I don't want anybody else to know that I got it from you. So that I understand that, but just like negativity is normal, positivity is normal. Dysfunction is normal. Things going correctly is normal. Struggle and non-struggle are normal. All of it is normal. It's life. But if you need help, you ask for help. You get sick, right? I mean, you can either tough it out or you can take something to make you feel better. You know what I mean? You're gaining weight. You want to lose weight. You can either keep talking about it and do nothing and see the opposite happen, which is negative, right? Or you can see that I need help. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to move around more. And then you see a change, which is a positive. You sought help. It wasn't from a person. It was you. But sometimes it's too much for us and we can't do it ourselves. And that's when it's okay to go see someone else.
Wow. Good stuff. I just wanted to let the people know, if you just joined the show, you can also join the panel. The links is in the description and in the chat. And also, if you know someone that is struggling with mental health, you can go to mentalhealth.gov. They got some great resources on there. They can help you answer your questions, whatever issues you may have. Definitely go there. So I see we got Sherry in the building.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry.
How's it going, Sherry?
Good, thank you. Sorry, trying to get some light. There we go.
Okay, cool. Great. Do you have any comments or questions?
No, I heard everything he was saying. I'm sorry. Please do tell me your name once again.
My name is Will Bradford. I go by Drills also. So if you go to my site, it's itsdrills.com, itsdrills.com. So on that site, I have weekly blogs and I have weekly what I call Drills Talks, when I talk about mindset motivation and entrepreneurship. So it's basically more of what we're doing now. It just the topic changes week to week.
Yeah, I'm put it on the screen so they can actually see it.
Okay.
It's a really good website. It's one of my favorite websites to go to because you got some good stuff. So here's the website here. We'll go to the blogs. And you can see like this guy is, he defines consistency because this guy literally writes a blog every week. He writes a blog every week. Then he decided that after the first year of writing blogs each week, he'll do a video covering each blog from the previous year. So he has videos all the time, blogs all the time, because he's like a well-oiled machine. He's like the consistency on overdrive. So yeah, this is his blog. Definitely check him out. Isdrills.com. And you can go to the blog section. He has some good stuff on there. I mean, this is the 6 sides of wellness.
Right. So recently I've been getting in. So if you want to read those a little more in depth, or if we don't get to all 6, you can go to the site and read in depth about that.
Most definitely. So like one of the things we do in life coaching is we're goal oriented focused, right? So like as coaches, we try to get our clients from point A to point B, right? And we do that by having a clear vision and truly identifying the things that we want to do. As a wellness counselor or coach, what are some steps or things that you would do to help your patient? I'm assuming it's about wellness, so helping your not patient, I meant to say clients get well.
Well, yeah. As a wellness counselor or a wellness coach or wellness professional, whichever one you want to use,
right?
There's different approaches, but the approach I use is called client directed. And a client directed approach is basically allowing the client to carry the conversation and allow the. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, somebody's. But yeah, allowing the client to carry the conversation. So it's odd because most people think, okay, well, I'm going to you for an answer. Why am I doing most of the talking? Why are you asking me, what I want to do? But I'm going to give you a secret here. People do what they want to do. Even people who seek help, right? So you have to find out early, what is it that the client wants to do? And if you see that the client actually does want to do better, then that's my kind of client. So I know that they want to do better. They're setting goals and somehow, some way coming up short. And we're going to get to why they're coming up short. So the game or the play is to sit down with this person, listen to them in entirety, and then find out what it is they would like to do. What would you like to be the result of this conversation? What would you like, for a characteristic of you to be in 2 months? Things like that, to where I know what I want to do. I know when I want to do it. And then me helping them get there, I know they actually want to do it. So I'm more bought into helping them get there.
Copy. So like, it's interesting you say that it's person directed, because life coaching is kind of the same thing. It's like, we get them to actually answer the questions and figure out things, by just asking good questions, things that they're not thinking about, being that objective mind. Oh, I see Sherry back. So it's interesting that you say that. Koron, Pierre's right hand. Where are you, executive producer?
I am right here.
Do you have any questions? Or
no,
I know you said you had questions.
I don't have questions just yet.
Okay. You don't have questions just yet. Okay. So
no, I want to save the questions for, like the discussion piece.
Well, this is the discussion piece. This is the
okay.
This is it. Yeah, he went through the chart. I mean, he could go through the other items, but I feel like the items that really matter the most is the ones we went over, the social and the emotional. So yeah, get into some of your stuff. You have some relationship based stuff, right?
Yeah. So I guess like as far as the emotional aspect of that chart. That was more resonative to me because I think that people struggle with the aspect of taking ownership over self, taking autonomy of your emotions, right? What would you say are like three, if you can name three practical ways that someone can learn how to develop that habit of taking self accountability for their own emotions, thus liberating themselves from feeling shackled to negative vibes or negative emotions based on their experiences?
Yeah, for sure. So one would be knowing when and where to let it go. So usually we get the when and the where wrong. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why we blow up at maybe our partner, or we blow up at work and then it's not work anymore. It's where we used to work. So
Right.
having a when and where. So if I'm very upset, something happens at work, I come home. Of course, you're pissed. You're driving home. You're mad. But when you get home, where is the place that you let it go? So the answer to when is up to you. The where is away from people usually. Your where when you're letting it go should be away from people. You take out the risk of hurting someone's feelings that don't deserve it, which is usually what we do. You know, we get
Yeah.
mad at work and we lash out at a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or we lash out at a daughter or a son, and they didn't do anything, right? So if we have our where as away from somebody, that's a great start. But where is our where? It could be at the gym with your headphones on. It can be in your room with the door closed, meditating, right? It can be in your living room working out. I tell you one trick for sure. If you're angry, work out and see how long you stay angry. You can't huff and puff. You can't huff and puff and be tough. Like the anger will go away. So that's one way to, like, oh, you're mad. Okay, let's work out. Do some cardio, and that anger is gone because you're worried about breathing now. So that's definitely know your when and where. That's the two right there. So when you determine, where you determine, but definitely understand that the where is always away from people. So you take away that potential of lashing out at the wrong person. Another huge way, so I'll give you three, would be to realize that we're wrong sometimes. You know, and I know that's a tough one. That's probably the hardest one. We could find a when and where, but telling ourselves we're wrong, even in private, is tough, right? So what we want to do is, if we have to, you know, put on kid gloves with ourselves and say, hey, you're not always right. Let's take a look at the situation and see if we were wrong. And okay, well, let's flip the situation. If I was the other person, could I see that, you know, what I did was wrong? And, you know, before you know it, you're more comfortable with admitting when you mess up. So if you are okay with being wrong, then that means you can acknowledge when you're wrong. So in turn, that takes, okay, well, if I lash out right now, that's wrong, right? You're thinking now before you react, which is an emotional thing, right? But you're thinking before you react now. So spending time with yourself and being honest with yourselves allows you to use that when and where. And now you're more emotionally well because you know how to handle your emotions, hold them until you get to that where. If you can do that, I guarantee you'll see that emotionally you'll be a lot more, you know, suited. And you can ask, of course, you can ask your fiance, hey, did you notice that, you know, I'm a lot calmer now? I can handle things way better because I have my where and I know when to let go of my emotion.
Okay. Thank you
Great
so much
stuff.
for
Great
that.
stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Salute to everyone in the chat. Definitely big up to yourself. Hit the like button. Also, if you want to join the panel, you can. The link's in the description, and in the chat. So you could definitely find it and get on. So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. When we talk about dating, people, mental health in dating or mental health in relationships, right? We understand, and this is something that I talk about a lot. I talk about the fact that before you even date, you need to qualify yourself, right? as an eligible bachelor or bachelorette. And you do that by, making sure finances is in order. You do that by making sure you have no baggage from previous relationships, right? Just getting yourself together.
Mhm.
Your health and wellness. Going to see William to get, some insight on your health and wellness, right? So, but what if you're already married and you've been together for like 10 plus years, 5 plus years, you got kids, you got businesses, a lot of attachments, but you're suffering mental health. Now, I don't want to say necessarily that maybe you're having issues with your spouse and that's causing your mental health. That could be a possibility, but
Mhm.
let's just say that you have mental health issues
Okay.
that can be detrimental to your relationship and really be toxic. What would you suggest someone do in that circumstance?
Well, the most common relationship answer is usually the answer, which is communication.
Mm,
Sounds cliche, but I'm explaining it to make it not sound so cliche, right? Um, if you're in a relationship with a person, let's say you live with that person, you're seeing them every day, you're waking up to them, you're going to sleep to them, right? Why is anything that you're struggling with mentally a secret from that person? That doesn't make any sense. It's not a
mm,
logical thought. Like, you know what I mean? It's like no one would logically say that I'm with this person all the time, but I'm going to have this secret here that I'm struggling with. They're going to see it on my face. They're going to see it in my, my demeanor, but I'm going to keep it a secret. You know, the best thing to do would be to share what you're going through with that person. If you're not comfortable sharing that with that person, then that's not the person, right? You know that you're with the wrong person there. But if you are with the right person and you love this person and maybe you're holding it in, you told yourself because you don't want to put anything on them, that's an excuse we use. And it does sound valid and logical. I don't want to put that on them so I can keep my secret, you know? But what you want to do is you want to share it with them because they'll see it and they don't know what it is. And it's hard to react to that. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to help with that. So if I see it and I'm like, oh, she's sad, but why? I don't know why. I don't know when. I don't know what. I don't know how. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know anything. I just know that she's sad.
Yeah.
Now, it's just you're at a disadvantage as a partner when that person doesn't share with you. So I would say if you are in a relationship and you know this is the person and y'all been together a while, oh, y'all been together 6 months and you know that's the person, share with them so you'll have an ally in this fight because you're going to need one. You may need multiple. You may need them. You may need a wellness coach. You may need a
right,
psychiatrist. May need therapy. You never know. But
right.
if you can't share with the person you're laying next to, what are the chances you're going to share with a stranger?
Mm. Wow,
Probably
that's deep.
slim, right? Yeah. Pretty.
Very deep.
Wow, man. I was gonna piggyback off that, but I might have to let
Sit with
let
that
the
one.
mic smoke because that's good stuff. I would say definitely communication is definitely key. I also would say like if you are going through mental health circumstances, you have to really once you identify that you have it, because some people are just in the matrix, yo. Like they don't even, realize it. But like if you do realize that you're at a point where you need someone to talk to, like we said earlier in the show, get some help. Go to mentalhealth.gov, seek a third party, a friend or someone you can relate to. But definitely if you realize that you have issues with mental health, get the help. Don't just sit there and let the days go by. Cause I know the days can go by, man. And you just in the mix, you're busy, you got kids, businesses, and time flies.
Mhm.
Time like honestly, I'm still on last week's show. Like this week's show is like it just came so fast. So imagine if you in the mix and you're going through the things you're going through and you just allow it to pile up, things to pile up, you don't address it. So
Right.
that was a great answer. Lunch, you
Ma-
got anything? Because you had some questions. Oh no, go ahead, Sherry.
Oh,
Go
cool.
ahead.
Um, I have a couple of questions that I did write down.
Cool.
I'm not sure if you have the answers for them at this moment, but I am going to school to be a teacher, and so I want to like learn ways of teaching relationship skills to younger adults, so that maybe they're not getting at home, maybe it's not something that they're used to seeing. But how can we have some tangible ways of showing young children, even young adults,
Cool.
some of these social emotional?
Are we talking early childhood, or are we talking?
Yeah, we're
early
talking grade 1 to 6.
Okay, cool. So I have children in that age range. So I would state that showing them what's respectful versus what's not respectful is number one, because they really don't know. You know what I mean? Kids don't really have personal space.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really understand that, right? That's a thing you get when you're older. So what's respectful? You of course you tell the boys, you give the girls space. You don't put your hands on the girls. You open the door for the ladies, and then you tell the young ladies, you learn to respect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you respect yourself, those little crazy boys running around you, they're going to respect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that lights them up. And it's like, okay, well, these boys are crazy. They always running around in circles. They loud and, rough. But if you present yourself, you know what I mean? Like, you stand up, then they stand up.
Yeah.
And now you got a classroom full of respectful kids, and then they can tell their friends, you know what I mean? In whatever way they talk, I understand, like, I opened the door for this girl that I really liked, and she smiled when I opened it. I'm opening her door every day now. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's just something they do now. And okay, well, she likes it. I'm gonna open the door for my mom when I get home. I'm gonna open the door for my aunt when she visit. Things like that. Stay with them.
Yeah.
And as far as the ladies, I think it's great. I have 3 daughters, so I think it's great to show the young ladies that, boundaries, respecting yourself, that is something I would put in them very early.
Yes.
So if you're teaching first grade, if you happen to, that's old enough. They know to respect themselves.
You said something to Launch Pro that was really interesting, and like I am trying to create some ways like this. So you said basically be okay with being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to create some exercises for kids to understand that it is okay. Not, it's easier said than done when you're saying, don't beat yourself up. No question's a stupid question and stuff like that too. But I think kids still beat themselves up secretly, especially when you have like little bullies in the class and stuff like that. But I would like really good ways of doing that because we don't really learn how to be wrong.
For sure. No one wants to be wrong. And I wouldn't even use the word wrong with them. Right. I would introduce the word novice to them. And novice is basically saying that you're not very good. You're new to this, right? Mm-hmm. So as a novice, you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. But what novice means is that you're working your way towards expert, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a journey there. So now it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong even when I'm close to being an expert. But when it's just wrong versus right, it's black and white. There's no journey. And when they mess up, they're just wrong. You're just on that negative side until you're right. When you do the whole novice to expert thing with the kids, one, they know what novice is at a young age, right? And then they embrace being a student, being a learner, and they know that they're on their way to becoming an expert. Mm-hmm. So that's putting something in them very early that it's okay to be a novice. You're not going to stay one.
Yes. Okay. And I know that you said, how old is your oldest girl?
Oldest girl's 11.
11. Has she told you anything?
Really?
About
She's 11?
Yeah, she just turned 11 last month.
Right. Yeah. She's a year younger than Bella. You're right.
Congrats. Have you heard anything about her having a crush at all?
I have, but from her sisters who are younger. So
what do you say or think?
I mean, the first thing I do is think when I was 11, which is probably not the best thing to think.
Oh, Lord.
But I have instilled in her what I feel like I'm telling you to do. I feel that I've been trying to get that into her head since she was about 3. Mm-hmm. So eventually you got to trust what you've put in. You know what I mean? Just like you working anywhere, you trust what you've put in. I've told her to respect herself. I've told her what was wrong, what was right. She knows this, she knows this stuff. So as far as, having a crush on a boy, you should. You're 11. I know you're going to have a crush on a boy, because when I was probably 5, I had crushes on girls. So I know at 11, you're going to have a crush. And I think that you just have to explain at your age what a crush means.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you do? Okay, well, maybe you want to, sit next to him at lunchtime. You know what I mean? Sit next to a boy at lunchtime. You gotta. That's respectful. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Lord, you got me sweating beads right now.
I'm definitely scared, bro. You got me scared.
You got
Don't
me
be
sweating
scared. Don't be
beads,
scared.
man.
It's part of it. You just have to think about like what you knew and what you knew not to do.
God, well.
Right. You were 11 before. It wasn't like you were clueless in this world at 11. That's 6th grade.
I was very sheltered. At 11,
let's touch on this right here.
Listen, I was still playing with dolls at 11. I was a late bloomer, man.
That is
These
totally
kids,
fine. But you knew what was going on. You could be as sheltered as you want to get. Like you're not in the house at all time. Were you homeschooled?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you had a little exposure to
I did.
But yeah, I mean, you knew, but you're saying you're sheltered, but it could have been, I know not to do that.
Yes.
Right.
It was a lot of that. It was a lot of just like reaffirmation and almost like conditioning. Do not mess with boys. So for me to even articulate, I have a crush, it's like, how dare you? Because like that's pretty much how I was raised. So with me having a stepdaughter, me having, like a sister who is 14, you know what I'm saying? I am just like overall highly anxious.
My niece that is 12. No, 13.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, y'all got to give them a little bit more credit though, because we made it through, and we probably weren't, especially me, wasn't wasn't the greatest at that age.
Oh, Lord.
I think the reason why I asked too, because it's like I'm learning stuff from some shows. I'm learning stuff from like people who I look up to as far as what they did with their kids, like what I wouldn't want done as far as what happened with me as a kid and stuff like that. So I'm like, I want to be able to help my kid. If I don't want her to walk down heartbreak without some parameter, some idea, go into depression or anything. Right. I want her to have the most clear clarity that she possibly can and not be on the, polar opposites of things.
I get you. I get your fear, but you got to understand that first love, it happens, right? That first love is like, you think you're going to be with this person forever. You could be 12, 16, 18, 20, whatever. But that first person is going to hurt the most because you don't see it not working out ever. Even though you're 12 and y'all probably go to different high schools and you won't see each other again, you're still thinking like, oh, that's my boyfriend.
I love him.
Yeah, he got me a book bag. You know what I mean? I got me a book bag. You don't know what love is. You say, but you got to understand, like at that age, your parents tell you they love you every day, right? You're like, oh, my parents care about me. I care about them. I love them. But, they don't understand what it means. But that heartbreak, all you can do is be there for them, right? So, maybe you don't let them go in the room, close the door, and cry their eyes out.
No.
Maybe you sit with them and say, hey, I know what you're going through. You didn't think it would ever, and you thought you would be with this person forever. You probably were writing your name and his last name together in a book. We all went through it, and I'm going to let you know that I'm here for you. And then y'all start talking, you know what I mean? And maybe you share a story that you're comfortable sharing, maybe take out some stuff.
I think some of the stuff that I learned now, as far as like what I look for when I am dating, is I need to know this person's interaction with their family and their friends, right? So I think when it comes time for my daughter, that I will get to know this person's family, because if I don't like this family, I'm gonna drive a wedge.
Okay. Well, at least you know what you're gonna do. At least you know.
I think it's very, very important because we gotta eventually. Family becomes together at the end of the day. So I don't want to have the the things that shouldn't be apart be apart.
Gotcha.
I don't know. But yeah. All right, cool.
This is such a tongue-in-cheek topic, man. Like, I'm really struggling with this for some reason.
What, the kids
I-
part?
Yeah, just envisioning, like girl children in my life dating.
Boy
you
children
know,
too.
Yeah, let's not
and boy
envision it.
children too, but I'm just feeling it a little bit like, I don't know, because my sister, I'm seeing her on Snapchat. I'm literally seeing her come into herself. And I'm like, and on one side, I'm like, oh my God, look at Summer. Look at how she's posing with her little duck lips out. And then on the other side, I'm like, girl, take that thing down right now. Like, who are you trying to, pursue online, So it's
Yeah.
very like, I don't know. I'm literally pulling my hair right now.
Definitely, I would say that it's
my
like it's moving so much faster because like even when I was growing up, we had razor phones and AIM and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
So it wasn't like how it is now. And crushes are happening faster and faster. Like I didn't have my first crush till I was like 12. Crushes are happening in elementary school. I'm like, oh shucks.
Yes, they're doing a lot in elementary school. That's a lot of obscene things. I'm just like overly protective. I'm wondering if I'm kind of like morphing into my parents and who they were. Because I'm telling you, like they had me like shackled down. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even mention boys. Crush? Put your head in the book. You know what I'm saying?
How you know those lyrics to them songs, but you don't know?
I'm just saying, listen, growing up West Indian is a real thing.
Yo.
Yeah, I think having real conversation with the kids is important. That's one thing I have with my daughters. We have real conversation. I mean, you guys already know I'm a science advocate, so we talk a lot about science. We talk about history, but in the science side, like we talk about health and just germs and diseases.
Germ theory, right?
In her school, they was teaching kids about HIV. And they taught them the first 3 ways, and then the other way we all know is through intercourse, and they was teaching the kids about that. So she said, Daddy, they taught, the school taught me this, and I had to have a conversation to reinforce what the school is teaching. So I know that sometimes I talk past her head, even though I make it like rated G. So she can actually understand what I'm saying, ask questions, very engaging conversations. But when she gets older, she's going to understand it more. Because I talked to her about puppy love. I told her, you think this is going to last forever, and it's not. But she knows about, diseases and the touching. And then, we had conversations about that. So I just think that having real conversation with the kids and trying to let them talk too. That's another thing I do. I just let her talk, and she just spills the beans.
All of that stuff is valid because, like, I'll never forget. My mom took me to the east side of Harlem and showed me like people on drugs. My grandmother, she was on drugs, but showing me kept me away from wanting to do drugs. And then like the conversations about it, she, I never saw the tools or anything, but we saw movies and it was very graphic, and she let me see that at a young age. And even when it came up, I was like, oh no. What? And like at a certain time, I lived in Colorado. People was like doing way out there drugs. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm not even trying to test them waters.
And it could be the exposure. The exposure saved you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think those conversations go over her head, but they're not. They sinking in. She get
it at 12. She gets it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Daddy, I'm gonna act like I don't know what he's talking about. But she gets it.
Right.
So, you just have to remember, like, when you were 11, 12, 13 years old, it wasn't like you weren't watching Barney and Sesame Street. Like, you knew what was going on.
Right.
If I do the math, the music I was listening to when I was 11, listening to it now, I'm like, wow, I wouldn't want my 11-year-old to listen to it. And I was like bumping it, like knew the words, all of it, living life through them. And I'm 11, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't underestimate them. I would try to look at them as young adults, even though in our heads they're still babies. You know what I mean? We remember changing their diapers. We remember them walking. Remember their first words. That'll drive you crazy. but they're
Yep.
not that size anymore. You know what I mean? They're way closer to going to college than they are to those years. And that's what you have to tell yourself.
You know, one thing too, like that I know about myself, and even I see it now with my kid, when you say things to kids like, let's say you're watching a show and you don't want them to see it, and you're like, this isn't a show appropriate for kids. I remember as a kid, like wanting to watch Sex in the City. I'm like, when I get big, I'm gonna watch Sex in the City, right? And the thing is, because they want to know so much, because I wanted to know, I would sneak and watch it, but it's on night. It's like there was no foundation for the show. So a lot of the things that was happening, I was like, oh my God, my eyes were so open to the show. I'm like, wow. And I think now looking back, I'm not saying that my mom should have watched the show with me or anything like that, but you know, even if she didn't explain to me what the show was about, and she was saying that this isn't for you, because the kid is even open to knowing that there's just something that they can't do, give them some foundation for it, so that it's not something that they're like feeling like they're left out of, or you know, really desiring. Because I ended up watching it all anyway, like,
right,
on a sneaky tip, and like you know, a lot of things happen in that element.
Can't hide anything really. Like we can try, like for instance, Launch Pro, you know, she grew up in a very strict household. They tried to hide as much as they could, right? But eventually, you know what I mean, it's going to get exposed, and she's going to know, and she's going to live her life, right? So you could either slowly let things go, or, you know, I'm going to choose what I'm going to, you know, let them watch. So I think we went from like G movies, and then I'll do PG, and I think recently I let them watch a PG-13 movie, and so I'm like this the whole way because I didn't pre-watch it. So I'm like hoping that nothing too crazy happens, PG-13. But luckily it was just a couple of language things, right? Which I'm sure my 11-year-old has already used, or her friends around her are using. So it was okay. I think that we just need to understand that now we think we were sneaky. They don't even have to be sneaky. It's on their phone. It's on their phone. Anything that they want is on their phone. So it's more about setting your expectations of them, letting them know the difference between right and wrong, letting them understand the consequences of going against what you're telling them to do. And then you just have to hope that you did the right thing and you did enough, because you cannot stop them from accessing anything. Anything is accessible right now. So they just have to know that my parent told me such and such and such and such.
Right. To a higher esteem, right?
I want to ask one other thing, because I did write this down. Now, a lot has been happening lately with young adults committing suicide, and I just like wonder, like, how are the cues being missed at home, at school, or what is I mean, like, we can't know, but the most recent one that I saw was a young girl. She was in college at I think it was Texas A&M, and she wrote a whole long thing saying that, you know, no one could help her, that her mom did the best that she could, but this had been happening since her early teens. Now, if it happened in her early teens, something happened there. And I'm like, okay, the suicide rate in teenagers is skyrocketing. And so I'm just, you got anything for me?
It's definitely scary, because that mental issue that she had could have been medically, you know, a medical issue, to where she needed treatment and never got it. So if she's having, like, say she's trying to hint at she's had suicidal thoughts since she's been a teen, no one knew. No one went to go try to help her. No one said, oh, do you need some medication? The parents missed that. You can't blame the school with 25 kids in a classroom, you know, because if she chooses not to act out then, and she chooses to act out, you know, when she's home because no one's paying any attention to her, she can do that from 12 to 18. And then she goes to college and everybody's so happy. Little such and such went to college and she's going to do great. And then boom, what happened? Everybody's looking around. Nobody knows what happened. It was neglect.
Right.
She had to write out that long letter because no one knew. She's stating that her mom did the best, so her mom won't feel bad afterwards.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she's
I
protecting
did think that
her mom.
immediately. Right.
Yeah. like she's writing that for a reason. I'm going to be gone. I'm not going to be able to tell her that it wasn't her fault. Even if it is her fault, I don't want my mom thinking it was her fault. My mom did the best she could.
Right.
And
I mean,
now
she probably did do the best that she could with what she knew how, but it wasn't.
possibly.
I would hate to
Possibly.
say it, but I just don't. In my just reading it, it just seems like damn. But
There was neglect there, of course.
yeah, I
and
mean, personally, I've experienced 4 suicides. Right, so I was working at the Vessel in New York City.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a sculpture, or not sculpture, like a statue thing that was built, and 4 people committed suicide there. And the first time that it happened, it was a young lady who came to the States, who came to New York to do this. And I think she was like 26, if I'm not mistaken. Then the second time it was a young guy, but the third one was, it's only 3.
Okay.
The third one is a young boy. He was 14 with his parents there. And the thing is, they said that he was suffering from, mental issues. But I'm just thinking to myself, like, further in the interview, and I went and like looked up these people, it just seemed like they didn't have enough time for their kids, because the lady, she never posted that particular son. It was like he was always left out. And I'm looking at their family photos and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, what could have been going on? And then we look at his page at the time before they took it down. It was so dark. It seemed like he like needed help. And I'm like, as a parent,
Right.
how are you missing this? Like, are you not looking at his social media? How does he even have social media without you knowing this?
It's just, it can be neglect. It also can be denial. It's like, oh, well, I see this kid is dark. He's just one of those weird kids. He's the black sheep of the family, blah, blah, blah. But they hear that and they feel that. Yeah. And they're like, well, I mean, if I'm not in the family picture, what would it matter if I'm not here? You know what I mean? If I walk into a room and y'all having a great time and I walk in and it gets quiet because you wait for me to do something or act out, well, why don't I just excuse myself? You know what I mean? And then they permanently excuse themselves. And then everybody's like, oh, we could have did this. We could have did that. Why didn't we think this? It's too late now.
Right.
I don't necessarily know like what, I think I can see sometimes like some things. But I know I'm just one person and I don't go home with you. But like, is there, I don't know, like what could be said or done, like if you see things like that.
In your child or just a person?
In children, period. I mean, in people.
Okay. In people, it depends on the relationship, because, it can set them off to where they're trying to hide it and you saw it. They don't want you to know when you saw it, and you say something and now they pull away from you because you saw their secret. But if it's a person that you're close with, I would try to start the conversation with, you're just not, you don't seem like yourself. What's going on? I know it's something going on. This is me. Let me know. And maybe, they'll piece by piece let you in on some stuff. And if they're really close to you, maybe they'll spill it. And if it's something that you can't handle, when just like they let you know that they may be suicidal, or at times they think about ending it, you can then attempt to seek help for them or with them, so it doesn't seem like you're doing it behind their back. You're like, oh, well, I love you. I would hate for you to do that. That would hurt me and so many other people so much. Let's see what we can do to find somebody who knows how to help with this, because I can't. Right. But it's dangerous. You never know. Go ahead, Kimmy.
Oh yeah. I feel like a lot of people who go through depression and have suicidal thoughts, most of the time they don't even voice that or even express it really to anyone. So I feel like when you guys pose the question to how did no one notice it, I feel like you can notice people when they're sad, stuff like, especially your own children. You can notice like something is off. Or sometimes you really may not. Sometimes they hide it so well. But even if you notice that it's off, I don't think most people ever think like, yo, they're about to commit suicide or they're possibly suicidal, unless they've shown signs of suicide. But what I'm saying is a lot of people, from my experience, they don't show that. They even may show depression, sadness, like unhappiness, whatever. Like they may show those kinds of things, but sometimes they'll even say, yeah, but I'm not suicidal. I'm not going to kill myself or nothing. But, damn, life is hard, you know?
Right. That's the end right there. They
Right.
just told
So,
you.
like,
That's how they're telling you. Yeah.
no, but there's
Mhm.
there's a okay, so you say that that's how they're saying it.
Mhm.
Either way, what I'm saying is there are a
Mhm.
lot of ways that people can not know that
For
this
sure.
person was going to commit suicide. Like it is possible,
Mhm.
and I feel like it sounded, I don't know, maybe I was listening wrong with my wrong ears, but it sounded like it sounded like you, when you guys asked that question, it was making it sound as if the parents or the people around the person were doing something wrong in a way to not notice. You know what I mean? Like we're not, like nobody's perfect, you know.
Mhm.
Even the most perfect parents, you know,
Oh, for sure.
give some trauma to their children, right?
Mhm.
But I'm just trying to say that there are ways that you would never know that someone is like suicidal. Like you would
Correct.
never think that, just like how when a lot of on Instagram, when somebody killed himself and they post that long note or whatever, and then you'll see the family say, yo, we really didn't notice, like we did not notice this. I don't think that they were neglecting them per se. Sometimes it is, but I think
Mhm.
sometimes I don't think it's neglect. It's just like, yo, I didn't even, like I would never think Sherry would have killed herself. What? I
Mhm.
was just talking to her like
Right.
just now, you know what I mean? But she's masking it so well.
Right.
So well. The minute she hangs up with us, God forbid, I don't even want to put that on you, but you know what I'm saying? Let me use another name.
I ain't going nowhere.
You know, God forbid, you know, God forbid.
Right.
It's like that.
Yes.
That
There are
happened.
people who can hide it very well.
You
Yeah,
know?
I agree. I agree with you. When I was talking about neglect, I was more talking about with a child. You bringing up a child from birth to whatever age they get to, you see a lot in your child. At certain points in their, their maturation, they're not trying to hide anything. They're not mature enough to hide that stuff. So you'll see that those themes in what they wear, how they talk, if they draw, what they draw, how many colors are there, are they down? But when you get older, and we're talking about adults, now it's masking. It can be overly happy, and that can be a sign of depression. It's not just being sad. Depression is not just being sad or looking sad, I would say. Depression is just, it can be a void. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't feel anything. I'm numb. But I know when I'm around my friends, they expect me to be the funny friend. I'm the funny friend. So when they're around me, I'm funny. You know what I mean? For instance, a while back in the early 90s, Chris Farley, he was on Saturday Night Live. He was the funny guy, right? He was always on. Like, you ever had a person that's funny in your group, or a person that's funny? They're always funny. Like, they always have to be funny. He was the most miserable person when he wasn't being funny. You know what I mean? It's like he had to live with himself when he wasn't telling jokes. So when that person who's overly happy around you, and it's like, goodness, they're all never sad, like you don't have a bad day, that can be, something you may want to look into also, if they're your friend. If not, then maybe you feel it's none of my business. But just look out for people who are the
Always strong.
the complete opposite of what you would think depression is, because that's the idea. That's how I'm going to hide it. I'm going to be overly happy, overly loud, maybe, those overly loud people. Because I don't want anybody to know or feel what I'm really feeling.
Right.
And, so I think that if we keep that in there, there's Koron back.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my computer. I got the black screen of death.
Okay. But you're back now, right? Okay. We were talking about basically hiding depression. I guess where we left off was hiding depression, but we did discuss how it can be missed. And we did also discuss how we feel that there's a possibility that there are signs, and maybe it can be neglect or just stubbornness, to where you're not recognizing that because you don't want to. But there's both sides. It can be something that happens and no one thinks anything's wrong with that person. There can also be years of evidence that has been neglected and ignored. So that's what we were touching on while you were gone.
Okay, so it seems like I missed a lot.
It's recorded.
Cool.
You got it.
So, wow, I don't even know what I would have to say to that. I'm about to die. It's a crazy night. Let me try to plug it in. You guys can still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you guys can continue. I'll jump back in. Just trying to put my phone in a good position. So to kill all of the dead air, do have a question. The mental health day, and why are they important?
All I got was the mental health thing and why they're important. I'm also hearing myself.
There's an echo.
A lot of feedback.
What about is that
Testing. I can still hear myself. Do you all hear yourself when you speak?
Yeah. Well, I don't hear myself, but I hear you guys echoing.
I don't hear myself either. I'm able to
Yeah, I'm good.
Maybe there's like two tabs open somewhere. Sound.
without the echo?
now there's an echo.
I'm gonna come back.
And he said blocked.
Oh, I don't hear the echo anymore.
Did I remove myself? I removed somebody else. I think I
You removed your
fiance.
Get her back. She's back.
Okay, Pierre.
We're all good.
All right. What about now?
We're good. We're waiting
Oh,
for
yeah.
And it was
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm about to set him up with my tablet.
Okay. So did you feel like how does that make you feel as far as knowing that it can completely be missed? Do you feel that can happen to you as far as not knowing that someone needs help and not being able to help them or extend that helping hand?
Are you talking to me?
No, more Deb.
More who?
You.
Kimmy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you called me Deb.
I was like, well, the names were there, and then the names got taken away.
Yeah.
So,
so the question was, how do I feel knowing that I could miss the signs on somebody?
Well, yeah. Or does it make you feel a way that you can miss the signs, and not be able to help? Is that what bothers you the most in regards to what we were talking about?
Well, not so much me, like person. Well, first of all, personally, I feel like, even not personally, I feel like most parents, I should say, parents don't think that this is something their child would do. I don't know if I don't have the stats on it. I don't have like the facts, I just feel like most parents, they're not thinking that, yo, my kid is about to kill. Like, I don't think that. And I don't think that I'm worried that I could miss the signs. I mean, I very well can miss the signs of anyone around me, because even the things that you were talking about, even though they may sound like common sense, they really are not. Like when you point out somebody that's like overly happy, most people wouldn't think that, okay, she's so happy all the time, she got to be depressed, and then even sometimes within yourself, you may feel apprehensive trying to ask that person, hey, like, are you okay? Because you don't want to look stupid. Like, this person is clearly giggly and laughing and having a good old time out here. Why is you the only one looking like, yo, she depressed?
Right. You don't want to kill the vibe. I got you.
Right. So I feel like signs are easily missed, especially when it's something like that. That's easily missed.
Right.
And I think it's worrisome for some people that they may miss it. And I feel like people who experience a loss of a friend or a family member via suicide, they do feel guilty within themselves, because they do feel like, well, okay, I'm the closest to such and such. How come I did not notice that this is, you know what I mean? So they do feel a lot of guilt. And also, I don't think that, well, a lot of the stuff that we see on the internet, really, we're just like making opinions about it because we don't really know these people personally. But I feel like a lot of time in suicide notes, and when they say stuff like, mom or sister, you are not the reason, don't feel bad. Sometimes they are the reason, and maybe they're trying not to make them feel bad. But I feel like the person knows that suicide is such a hurtful thing that they don't want to continue to hurt the person, their families anymore. Like, so I think they really are letting them know, like, yo, it wasn't you, it's just something wrong with me. Like, it really is that it's not you, it's me thing. Like, for real. Like,
I was gonna say that's probably like the last thing. But I'm not saying that they're like at the end of the day saying that it's you who made me take this measure. But I think that because they felt that there was no outlet or help, that's why they took the measure. And I'm only saying this because, once upon a time I had similar thoughts and I had to go get some help and stuff like that. And so, what I was going through at the time, even being married and feeling like I would be judged because, my husband, he was a serious type. And I wasn't always so serious, or not. I'm not even really a serious person, really. But I know, I have boundaries now. But I did feel like what I was holding as a secret that was depressing me was because I was feeling like I was going to be judged. And then I also felt like, as far as my family, they didn't know how to receive what it was that I had that was a secret so long in my life. And then because I felt like nobody could understand, I kind of just started feeling like nobody really loves me or would really understand me. And those thoughts are like, they swarm. It takes a lot to get yourself into a dark place. But if you're in a pattern for so long and, dealing with these things, that's how you can get there. It's very dangerous, to feed that. But I would just say if you, like I said, like what he said earlier, realizing, William was talking about realizing we're wrong, right? The thing is, we can realize things about ourselves, and until we get the help that we need, even realizing it when you're at that point, it just seems more, I'm just going to keep eating this. So, because if nobody else realizes it with me, it's like you would not know. Even though I might have even tried to throw some signs for attention or stuff like when I was a kid, you wouldn't know. And this is what I'm talking about as far as like, parents could go missing it. For a long time, this thing was happening to me as a kid, and the person who is accountable for me is missing it. And even when something comes out, and then other things happen in the dark behind closed doors that make you flip in yourself, like make you uncheck and unravel in your mind or become insecure. You start becoming insecure because of other certain things that have been put on you. Those things are going missed, and that can be a part of it. So once somebody starts to play on your naiveness, because you're a kid, once somebody starts to play and like uncheck something, and now you start asking yourself because you're not even sure as a kid, that's a problem. And that's a problem that goes unseen. That's a problem that, can grow, like that pattern that starts growing and growing and growing. And now you're taking advantage of yourself. You don't have boundaries. Other people are taking advantage of you. And like, now you're so far swimming out away from the shore. Right. It seems so far to get back. You just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So, there are ways that, if you can pick up on these things and really get well versed in reaching out, I mean, grow that arm that you could reach that person out there and try to pull them back. It's really tough. I don't think that we ask ourselves this question enough to test ourselves. Because me personally, I don't test waters that I'm not strong enough to go through, because I know my boundaries now. I'm easily susceptible to certain things sometimes still, and I still have to work on my boundaries, and I do what I can do within my own parameters. Or I will find the help for you because I can't go down that road with you, So, and this is something I had to learn. Before I was just Captain Save a Hole for anything, spreading myself super thin. But that's something I had learned, growing up, spreading myself super thin. Yes. And we have to be aware not to always be leaning on people who will always say yes to you also. So it's just like, these are certain things that we could pick up on and be more self-accountable. The more we can be more self-accountable, we can help that person better who's dealing with these things.
For sure.
And this is just my personal experience. So I would say,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe as an adult you can mask it, but a mask can come off, and there is still, you know, people who like the mask, people who will keep you with the mask on that you should like not be around. They're so busy living their lives and saying that they're a real friend to you or real whatever to you, but that may not be the case, because if they can miss it, how real were you really? I mean, that's my perception. But you know, we can't let our friend, a lot of the times we tell our friend, yeah, that's girl, do that, and it ain't even right. It ain't even right. You wouldn't even do it yourself.
Right. And I mean, I think that you've exhibited a lot of self-awareness, and that's the key. A lot of the advice that I was giving is definitely suited more for adults. I wouldn't tell a kid to be more self-aware. I mean, you know, that's tough. But as an adult, we have to be more self-aware, because that allows multiple things. We know what we're doing wrong. We know what we can do better. And because we see it in ourselves, we can see it in others.
Right.
It keeps on giving. You know what I mean? Self-awareness is tough, because you don't want to hit on all the negatives. You know what you do wrong, but now you have to really look at it. Once you get past that, and it's like, yeah, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, you're human, nobody's perfect. That's cool, but we need to take it a little deeper and talk about our imperfections.
Yeah.
Because
How does my mic sound now?
Much better.
Much better.
Thank God for Galaxy. Cool. So watching the show, definitely take the time to like for the so great stuff. I'm glad I missed half
There's
the
a
conversation.
massive echo though. There's a massive echo. So I'm gonna give you my comment.
Hold on, wait. Before you do it, what about now?
Still.
It's still repeat. It's a repeat. Yeah, it's repeating what you're stating.
Wow. Okay.
The one thing I wanted to say too, secrets are so hard. And I tell everybody who comes into contact with me now, like, I could keep a secret, right? But don't kill me. I'm so serious. I could keep a secret. Don't kill me with the secret, please, Jesus. Like, you know, for me, secrets can be so heavy. And if you're asking me to carry something that is so heavy, that's a problem. I think, you know, with your person, that's a difference. But, you know, I don't want to be spread thin, even when it comes to the mental capacity, the emotional capacity either, when it comes to friends or other people. I don't want to do it. Okay. That does a lot. And I don't think people recognize that. This is why I'm not nosy. I will not, I do not ask what I cannot handle. It is all good. And, you know, I say the same thing to as far as, you know, people sharing. I don't like an oversharer. And I tell them that straight up from the beginning, because that, like I said, I have boundaries, and you have to know yourself well enough to know how to create those boundaries when it comes to information, because I don't need the overload. Or you have to know you don't need the overload, for real. I would just say sometimes when you never know until a secret is out, how much of a lift it comes off of you. When you first receive the secret, you feel the heaviness of the secret too. And it, depending on what it is, it can help you move away from self-accountability. So you have to be careful of the people who you surround yourself with, who would do something like that. Sometimes they don't know, not because they're being ignorant or anything. They just simply don't know, because, you know, they're still working on knowing the better versions of themselves too. But if you know yourself and you know your friends well enough, you have to be able to know these things. I've been in many positions and I've learned many, many lessons in this way too. So be careful.
Yeah, living is the best teacher is living. You know what I mean? It's like as you go on, and if you get a lesson, you know, write it down. Record it if you have to. You got your phone, you download an app to record it. What you learned, how you felt, what it made you feel like, what the other person feel like. Because you can go back to that and say, this is the situation, this was the point in time where I learned this.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a real help. It's just, we don't really study ourselves like we study everything else. You know what I mean? We really need to embrace our experiences, what we're learning, how we feel, why we feel that way. And you know, I know it's easy to say because of the realm I'm in. So maybe I'm thinking about it constantly because I'm always talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But for a normal everyday person who's maybe not into wellness, and never been exposed to a life coach or a wellness coach or anything of that type, it's very hard to think by yourself, I need to be more accountable for my actions. I need to give myself more credit for the power I have over myself. I need to, you know, spend more time alone to think about what I am and who I want to be. Those are not normal thoughts. You know what I mean? You would think that they're normal if you study wellness or life coaching and things, but on a normal day to day, that doesn't come into somebody's mind, which is why we're here. You know what I mean? Which is why we have these conversations and we try to get this stuff out, because it's not a normal thing to say, man, I'm upset again. Or every time I hear this triggers me. Why am I being triggered? You don't know why, or you can't get to the why because you have so much other stuff. We're here to peel those things away and get to the actual problem. So, you know, for anybody who's out there listening who may need help, that's what a person like me or someone else you may see is doing. We're going to peel away and we're going to get away from the surface issues that we're good at handling. We can handle a surface issue, but the real issue, you may need some help to get there.
I also wanted to say, which I agree. I agree that if you're going through something, you're feeling any of these things that we're talking about, if this applies to you, you should definitely seek help in some way, whether that's just like a normal person or a person with a degree who's a therapist. You know, you got to seek help. However, I just want to also make sure that we understand that when we give the advice to seek a therapist, that most times, especially for Black people, I'm gonna say Black people, especially for Black people, a good therapist is hard to find, period, and especially for Black people, right? So when we always say, well, just go to therapy, like I know that nowadays, especially, we use that a lot and just say, well, you know, everybody, we need to go to therapy. Good therapists are hard to find. There's a lot of people out there with a therapeutical, psychological, whatever degree you need to do that. They have that degree, but they're not very good. You know, so we kind of sometimes weaponize therapy, especially if we've been therapized. We kind of like weaponize it and say, well, you know, I am better than you now because I went to therapy and you need to go. But sometimes getting therapy in itself is a luxury and a privilege that a lot of people aren't afforded for various different reasons. And therapy is very hard to find. So I just want to make sure that when we're saying go to therapy, that we also recognize that it is a very difficult thing to find, so that we just need to try to direct, which I think you did, direct people to, I guess, do other things until they get to a therapist, which hopefully by then they don't done off themselves, you know, before they get to therapy.
Right.
Do that.
Yeah. I want to say something about that, because for me, I created a checklist. I have went through not tons, but a lot of therapists because some of them were just, not some of them, all of them until the one that I have now were the wrong fit.
Yeah, same, literally same. Okay.
Yeah.
I had one therapist, like a white lady, and I was like, man, let me tell you the truth. This ain't gonna work out.
It's not your white. You should stick. People should stick in their culture. Like, where you from, you should have that, because they're like, for me, my white experience, both men and women, they don't. All I would get all of the time. Let me just tell you some of the quotes. Really? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. Wow. And it's just become a conversation because they don't understand where that would come from, what I'm explaining to them. And I'm like, this is what's happening in the Black community all the time. What are you talking about? Really? Like, huh?
Yeah.
You know, and then.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, Sherry, with that, because I too have a therapist, and I have had my therapist for almost going on 2 years, but I've just now detected that it might not be a good match. And maybe I was just in need of that guidance at the time, but I've evolved to need more. relatability in those counseling sessions, because oftentimes, like, I go to counseling every Monday religiously, okay? As I have struggled with depression as well as anxiety.
Yeah.
And I still deal with anxiety. Even, as a matter of fact, being pregnant, I think, has heightened my anxiety. And if left unchecked, it morphs into depression, right? So those are my two distant cousins. I have no problem with transparency. Now, during my counseling sessions, I would say that, you know, each week we talk about what happened during the week. And I would be able to elaborate. Well, this is what happened, A, B, C, and D. Koron got on my nerves. I bumped my toe on the furniture. You know, we're just talking about, you know, the rigmarole of what happened.
And salute to Nick for joining the stream.
Yes, baby. I'm glad that you're back. Just the average rigmarole. But there was one time where I actually had a panic attack during the counseling session. And it was at that moment that I realized she's not equipped to handle my being. She's not able to handle, like, me live. You know what I'm saying? Going through the situation, and that relatability of when you brought up, you know, finding comparable counselors who are able to socially relate to you on a race level, you know what I mean? And understand the depths behind that and the intricacies and the nuances that exist.
Right.
It was in that moment where she was like, I need you to calm down. Like, she became very robotic, right? In her approach. I need you to calm down. I can't hear what you're saying. Mind you, like, I'm like completely like gasping. The walls are closing in. Like, you know what I'm saying? And she was more or less very robotic with me, you know? And it was in that moment where I realized that, you know what? Time to shift gears. Time to find myself a sister or a brother who is qualified and who can actually, like, relate, but also give me the tools in the moment, not just satiate over the happenings of my week because it's like the latest drama episode, you know, and you're bored with your life, but rather to really provide that, those resources and that support. So I just wanted to share that, because what you said was, like, really significant to me. I totally resonate with it.
Right. Facts. That tone deaf piece is very, very, very big. Like, we got to be able to match up in that way. I think also too, certain I don't know how important it is for other people. For me, but certain backgrounds have to be in order for me. So one time I was seeing a Black lady, and, you know, at the time I was trying to also seek marital counseling, and she had a set of twins, and her husband were going through a divorce, and she was always late, like with her sessions and all of this stuff. She just was so disorganized to a piece. But I'm like, how are you giving marital counseling and your affairs are not in order? I'm like, that was another question that started coming up to me. Now, at that time, I was looking for only therapists who were married, and you know, they find sometimes offense, like, this isn't about me, this is about you. If you can't be transparent with me, I don't want to be transparent with you.
Wait, but hold on, because I feel like, like, maybe I'm playing the devil's advocate, but I feel like, okay, I feel like you can give marital advice, relationship advice.
No, you can. It was just her affairs were not in order. It was spilling over to her career.
So you're saying she wasn't doing a good job because she's divorcing, or she doesn't know how to give you marital advice because she's divorcing?
Both. I'm saying both. Because I'm saying this because, like, hey, she was late all the time, running back and forth, and, you know, it's spilling over to, I pay you for this time. You already prepaid.
Yes.
Give me my money back.
Okay.
Aside from that, too, it was just like the kids were in disarray, and you could see it because she was running the practice out of her house. So the kids were not. I'm like, there's no way. This house is way too chaotic. Your mind is chaotic. I'm not taking advice from you.
can understand.
Maybe it's not so much that the advice that she was giving couldn't have been helpful, but I think that
it wasn't even working. It was
okay.
not.
Well,
it was
then, yeah. Well, I think what I'm trying to say is, okay, your situation is different. What I'm saying is, I don't want people to say that you can't give a certain advice if you can't give relationship advice if you're single.
Nah, that's not a fact. I would prefer that you are in a good, stable, latent marriage. If you're going to be a marital counselor, which is good, I would look for that. But create
you went
your
to
own
school for it.
Just because you are textbook smart don't mean that you have any experience.
No, and I know that, but what I'm saying is I don't want us to box ourselves in so small that we never find a therapist.
No. I'm saying create an interview. Interview your therapist.
Because, okay, so what happens when, like Launch Pro said, she's just now finding out that her therapist is not good for her, right? Because she's evolved.
Was there an interview?
No. I'm saying she said
there was an interview.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But she also said she evolved. And my point is this. So every time we get to a different level or stage in life, do we throw out the therapist and get a new one?
I can speak to that one.
I would love your response, William.
One, I'm not a therapist. I'm a counselor. And there is a difference there. But I want to let you know that you should move on if where you are or where you were when you got there is resolved. Like if someone comes to me and they came to me because they're having a weight issue and we've resolved that weight issue, they don't necessarily need to come to me to quit smoking, or they don't have to come to me to, handle their marriage issues. You can absolutely go and handle the issue you are going to see that person for. And once that is done, then you're done with them. Now, if that issue comes back up, you go back to that person and you say, hey, you know the story. We got through this together before. We can get through it again. Absolutely.
Yes. Same thing with life coaching. Like I said earlier, is from point A to point B. Is goal oriented. Is to help you get to a goal. Once we reach that goal, is either we're gonna, that's it. There's no more sessions, or we can come up with a new goal and start over and then reach that goal. So I do think that, it could be your time has evolved. You reached your purpose, and now you have to find somebody else for a different purpose, right? So, but I do have a question though, Will.
Yep.
Like you see how Launch Pro says she's actively getting counseling. What do you suggest to someone in a situation where they're married to someone? Like I said, this is not I've been seeing you for 6 months. Mm-hmm. You've been together 5-10 years. Okay. You're married. The person you're seeing or you're married to has mental health issues. What do you do if they don't want to get help or they're not proactive in getting help? And now you feel like you're stuck in a cycle.
That's a really great question.
One, it's a feeling, it's not the truth. You're never stuck. You tell yourself that. You're never stuck in a relationship. So if you see that a person is actively inactive, basically they're constantly doing nothing to better themselves, you can make a choice to say, well, I've been here for you and telling you to seek help and get help and willing to help you for 10 years. And I don't want to wait another 10 years to have this conversation again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be around you if you don't want to be a better you.
Ultimatum time.
I feel like that's self-care too.
Do we send that? Do we go to our lawyer? Do we get ready to go meet with the lawyer to say, hey?
if you're already talking to a lawyer, man, the relationship
is over.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not like, oh, let me talk to my lawyer, then go back to my wife so we can have dinner. Like if you're there, then it's over. But I'm just letting you know that if you're in a relationship and it's 10 years and you understand that this person needs to seek help, you want them to seek help, you've been through hour-long conversations for who knows how long, right? And they're still not seeking that help. They're the same person. They seem to not be as bought in as you are to them getting better. Then you have to look out for self. It's a thing called self-preservation. Like you don't know how long you're here on this earth. So you gonna go through this another 5 years. You're gonna go through another 10. Like, what's the magic number? There is no magic number. If this person is proven to you over and over again that they're not going to get better, believe them.
I like it. Straight to the point.
That's a real, yeah. That's deep.
Oh,
I
and to
think that's
qualify it
self-clear.
I got to qualify it. So I've been married for going on 12 years because that helps, right? So you know what I mean? Like, we just had that conversation. It doesn't matter if I was a bachelor and dating 3 times a week and spilling that's different than the person who's been married 12 years. It can mean a little more based on who's listening. So I just wanted to think that I'm coming from a person who's been married for over a decade. You are never stuck in a relationship, one. And if you are more bought into that person being better than they are, save yourself.
Happy. So I want to go to Neek. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? We got William Bradford in the house, Cornell University, wellness counselor / coach. He's doing his thing. They've been getting it in. I had computer issues. That's why I'm on Koron Pierre's right hand's tablet right now. It's crazy. But do you have any thing you'd like to add?
I had a question actually, because I was watching the live stream from YouTube and I saw a lot of the things he was addressing, mostly about adults. I was just wondering, I don't know if you deal with this in your profession, but our younger generation, right, the kids, I see a lot of mental damage in the younger generation. One, maybe if father's not around. One, maybe, if you're a single parent household, you have to work twice as hard to support. How would you approach or start to
Are you watching on 2
conversation
devices?
in that solution?
Are you watching this on YouTube? Can you mute that?
No,
Turn the
hold
YouTube
on.
link off.
Are you watching this on YouTube? Can you mute that? He's muted. Yeah, I don't know. I heard his question, but I don't want to answer why he's not on.
It stopped. Yeah, it was.
I think he'll come back though.
Okay.
He'll come back. Hey,
That's somebody else.
I think it's Koron's
It's you,
right hand.
Koron.
I think it's his right hand.
It's me?
Yeah.
It is.
Did it stop?
Yeah, when he muted his mic.
Oh man, we done lost.
I think it was me. No.
Nah, that's Koron.
It's not me. Okay. Because I just realized that mine was playing, but it was on mute anyway.
Right. Yeah. If he would have muted, I don't know. I think Koron's using a mic, but then the speaker is not connected. It doesn't read the mic. So it's just echoing. It's going back and forth. But as far as this question, like, I don't work with children, but I would say 90% of the issues that adults deal with are from childhood.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, if you can talk to a person that's dealt with kids or deals with kids, they can be of a lot of assistance to people who never even knew. If you can get a child to handle their issue as a child, then you're great. But we get them as adults, and it's like, so you've been doing this since you were 11? Like, you've had this attitude since you were 10. You thought this way since you were 14. Yeah, they have.
One thing too that I would say, like, if you were, for me, in my experience, if you can recognize, perfect.
Yeah, so it wasn't you. It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
If you can recognize what is one of your triggers, let's just say something is triggering you. You don't even necessarily know what it is, right? Yet.
Okay.
That means that the emotion went unchecked for a long time, and you don't know why it's triggering it, and you need to figure that out. But once you do, there is the type of therapist you need to look for. And a lot of the time, or for me, I found my therapist through going through support groups.
Okay.
And I got a couple of good referrals when I did decide to stick to this particular therapist that I'm with. I see them on Fridays at 6 p.m. every Friday. But like, it was good that you said, William, that you can like basically graduate out of that therapist, because I have with certain things in my life. But this is why I love podcasts so much, right? Because topics that come up, I'm like, one time I was watching something that really triggered me, and I'm like, oh shucks, why is this happening? And it was a part that said, it was a piece that was talking about relationships with daughters and their relationships with their fathers, and how they treat men. And I was like, and then like how that conversation went, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Why do I feel like this? Like, and it made me sad. Like, and I'm like, yo, I really, like, you know, a lot of stuff that had been happening with how me and my father's relationship was, and then even who had came into my life, it had affected dramatically how I had treated men in my life. And I'm like, oh man, I joined a support group about that, and ended up, you know, writing more. So I was journaling more, writing little tidbits of like stuff that I strung together and called it like moving poetry or whatever. And it was therapeutic because it really helped me to like re-look at stuff. So I would say, you know, if you're, it doesn't mean that you need to go to therapy and just like overall just be in therapy. Focus on some of the things that may trigger you, and then you may find a therapist for that or support groups for that. And, you know, it helps you pull apart the things that you think, instead of just one big, let me tell you my whole life story and blah, blah. Because, you know, you'll be in therapy forever. You'll never graduate out of therapy.
Right, which can get expensive depending on your therapist or your counselor. So, but Neek, I see you back. Did you get the answer, or did you need me to repeat that?
No, I punched out to see if it was my mic, and then I closed everything, but I didn't get. I don't know if you responded or not.
Yeah, so I was telling you that I don't deal with kids personally, but I know for sure that 90% of the problems that adults have are from their childhood.
Right.
So, you know, for people who do, therapists or counselors who do deal with children, they're doing the world a service, I was saying, because now we have, you know, that much less adults with the issues that they're carrying through their childhood into their adulthood. So, you know, I don't know how I would handle a child. I can be a lot more stern and a lot more in your face, like, look at yourself. What do you need? What do you want? A kid really doesn't have answers for that. So I would openly say that I'm not equipped to counsel a child. Now, I parent children, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't say I would be counseling them. I don't know how I would approach that. But
there are some programs though. Like I went to this one place, Momentum Education in the city, and they deal with grades down even up to the third grade. I think they start at third grade and up. Okay. Because you know, third graders probably get introduced to traumas real early too anyway. And they have a whole on your level approach, and it is amazing. Okay. I mean, I've seen some kids really turn around there. So they do have a whole lot.
There's specialists everywhere, and I think that you would want to focus on what your specialty is, because again, like you were saying earlier, spreading yourself thin. You know, if I'm an IT consultant, I'm a wellness counselor. Now I want to focus on children. Okay, imagine going from a child, you know, counseling session to an adult's, and then you're changing back to a child. Like, it's hard to code switch in a day. And if I'm taking calls or I'm, you know, seeing somebody via the internet, it's going to be very difficult to code switch like that. That's why you have your child therapist. You have a person who's an occupational wellness counselor who focuses on work. You have a person who deals with wellness overall or mental health, because it's hard to be helpful when you're jumping from situation to situation, especially if you're talking age.
That's so crazy in a time like today too. Oh, sorry, George.
No, I'm just.
Is my mic echoing? Am I good now?
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh man, whoosh. Oh boy. Okay, so definitely we at that 2-hour mark. It's been a really great show. I do want to you know, get if anyone has any final thoughts or concerns they would like to bring to the table before
I have actually I have two questions that was asked by members in our community. So I'm going to get those right now.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
So, what was everybody's idea of how to survive depression while dating? Because that's the topic, right? I think I missed the majority of that. Is that even possible to be depressed and date? I don't think. Me personally, I don't know if that's a wise endeavor.
I would agree.
Yeah,
with you.
well, we
I
always
would agree on that.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
like we always say on the channel, you gotta get yourself together first before we go outside and date. But what we did talk about was like depression, dealing with someone who was depressed. You're married, like if you're in a relationship, a real serious relationship, things you can do with that. And also, if you are the one that's depressed and going through mental health issues and things like that, not just depressed, but just mental, all the mental health issues, and how you should navigate with that. We talked about mental health. What is mental health? We gave solutions with how to deal with it. We gave people resources they can go check out. I wish I could share my screen. I can't now because I'm on this tablet, but I think it's mentalhealth.gov is a place that people can go to get their, get the help that they need. So I know, Launchpad, you're still getting those questions, right?
Yeah, so we had Stephanie Trowick, and she asked, what is it where people in the Black community are afraid to seek counseling, especially Marines?
Okay, I think we touched on the first part of that question earlier, and basically it was that we felt that negativity and chaos basically were normal, and I said that yes, those things are normal, but so is seeking help. So we touched on that part. Now, when she's talking, and certainly Marines, I'm guessing that she has a Marine very close in her circle, and thinking of the military period, it's very structured. It's very don't ask, don't tell. It's very push through soldier. And of course, if you hear all that, going through depression is not the best thing. Asking for help is a sign of weakness at times. So I would definitely, if her significant other or her brother or someone in her family is a Marine, I would definitely look to see or ask them how they feel about speaking with someone. Therapist sounds a little strong to a lot of people. Counselor sounds a little better, a little easier, a little softer. They might be more willing to speak with a counselor rather than a therapist. It could just be the terminology that bothers them. I know she said Marine, but anybody who's in it can be the military or law enforcement where it's kind of like, you got to be stern, you got to push through. I would ask them if they are okay with seeing a counselor and discussing what they go through on a day-to-day, what their thought process is, and that'll be a start.
For sure. Okay, thank you for answering that. We also have Rita Shanta, who is a part of our community. Okay. She says this. She says, I tend to stress, then my anxiety is through the roof, and now I've slipped into depression. It's hard having to go through all three stages in one situation. How do you draw the line between the three? That is her anxiety, her stress, which then morphs into anxiety, which then slips her into depression. Sometimes I'm so depressed that I start stressing, then it triggers my anxiety. I'm so confused. Make it stop.
I got it. That's deep, and it will not be fixed in 1 minute, a 1 minute answer. But I can definitely let her know that, the stress and the anxiety can lead to depression.
For sure.
We need to understand, what are the triggers of those stressful situations? What are the triggers of the anxiety? Because it sounds like she's stating, or she feels that those two are pushing her into depression. It may be very hard for her to just fight depression. It's just such a general term. You don't really know what it is, but you know what your triggers are that's making you stressed out. Can we change that? What's the environment that stresses you out? Can you change that? Is it work? Is it your home? Can you take away some of that stress? which causes you to be anxious. So if you're taking care of the stress, which is one thing you do know what's causing that, maybe you don't get, the anxiety attacks, or maybe you're not feeling so anxious so much. And if you're not getting there, then maybe that depression or that feeling of depression kind of scales back a little bit. So I think you have to take it step by step, and what she can control. She sounds like she feels that she's out of control.
Yeah.
But her telling herself what those triggers are, what triggers my stress, and trying to work on getting rid of that can be a domino effect. Just as she's saying the stress is a domino effect leading her to depression, stopping that stress can attempt or help her not get there, or not, if she's not already there, it's not stay there if she's already there.
Can I give some examples on that really quick? Because I used to have anxiety. Where I started was a lot of breathing exercises. But then aside from that, one counselor told me that I should do things that give me joy and make all the time in the world for it. So it's like I cut off everything else, like hanging out with my kid or things that make her smile, give me joy. I make space and time just for that. Or like, the hour a day just for me. Tune out everything, everybody, no phone calls, do not disturb, don't come check for me. I don't need none of that. And then, whatever that is that I have to do. And I got to have to be more organized with my time in that way too, because I can't give access to everybody or everything. And I learned that the hard way a lot of times, and that gives me anxiety again. So also creating boundaries. These are like real things that you got to do in order if you want to stay away from things that cause you anxiety. For the depression, like you said, it is broad. You don't know what could be causing you that, but pay attention to your emotions, because they all lead to those dark feelings. And if you let them ride, it's difficult. So nip stuff in the bud right away.
Thank you so much for those suggestions, Sherry, and piggybacking off of what William was saying. I do have another question that someone asked. What do you do when your husband is involuntarily a trigger to your anxiety?
Oh, well, I mean,
It's a good question.
It sounds like it was never expressed to the husband that they do that. So the husband can't even help out in this situation, which is a big issue, right? If he's involuntarily doing it, that means that he doesn't know, right? So I would definitely harp on the communication thing that we said earlier, saying you need to sit down with your husband and let him know, hey, babe, when you do this, this makes me feel this way, which causes me to do this, which can lead to this thing. You know what I mean? So he knows, and he can be more aware of what's going on. So now it changes from involuntarily doing this to voluntarily doing it, and then you can make a decision about the relationship.
Now, let's touch on that. If you, say, for example, have told your partner that certain things trigger you, but they continuously do it, what do you do then with the relationship?
Right. Now, that's a very general thing. Is like that thing that they do, is it something that they cannot do? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, every time he has to work late at work and comes home after dinner, that triggers me. Well, he doesn't really have as much control as you think about needing to stay at work. If it's something like, oh, well, I told him that I really enjoy quality time, and he doesn't, we don't spend any quality time, and it's continuous. That's something that he's really not doing. You know what I mean? He's intentionally not making time. That's different. So if the situation is he's doing something that he controls, then I would definitely have another sit down and say, babe, I told you that this is really making me feel this way. It's been a month since I told you that. And in that month, you've done this, this, and this. And that's what's making me feel bad. Can you adjust? You give them another month. You've been with them, they deserve a month, right? You gave them another chance. They deserve a month. After that month, if they're still doing the same thing, they've told you where they stand, even if it's not verbal.
Right. Thank you so much for answering that question, William.
Can I add one more thing to this? I read this book, and it comes with a workbook if you order it together. It's by a therapist named Nidra Tawwab, and she has an Instagram where she gives a lot of good tidbits that are applicable right away. It's called Setting Boundaries, And that right there, what he just answered, is about setting boundaries for yourself. So like you can know for sure, like I set these parameters, and to go outside of it, even within myself, like you can overstep your own boundaries. And that is more detrimental than somebody else doing it to you, because you know what you put out. Until you create those boundaries first, you wouldn't know what you're getting back. So that's been very, very helpful with that. And especially when I was talking about spreading myself thin, I don't want to do that anymore. So I recognize when I'm doing too much, where before I'd be like, why am I feeling like this? Why is this happening? Da, 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 da. But it's happening because I'm showing up this way. I'm training this person to treat me this way, and I had no boundaries. So setting that and keeping it relevant to the other person will help you to keep that in order.
Okay. Kimmy, I see you're back. We're getting ready to wind down. We're at the 12 mark. So we was getting out any final questions or concerns you may have regarding either of the topics or anything from the discussion tonight.
Well, the topic was, surviving depression while dating. I think, I was always a big advocate of waiting until you are healed before you do anything, right? But I've come to kind of like change it a little bit. Like, you should still go to therapy, right? We should still get help. We should still try to be more self-aware and try to help ourselves and do all of that. However, I do think that waiting until you're healed, first of all, is probably not a thing, because I don't think we're ever like all the way healed. I feel like it's a journey. But having someone on the journey with you at times can be very helpful. So I don't think that we should wait it out. But I do think that if you know that this is an issue that you have, you should definitely seek help. Maybe, while dating, you don't have to wait it out. But it can be very hard. You just have to understand that you may encounter people who may walk away from you because they don't have the capacity to deal with what you're going through. And that just has to be okay with you, because they have boundaries just like you should have boundaries. So people gonna walk away from you, and it's gotta be okay.
I have a question about that. If it was, I'm not saying that they're not equally important to continue dating, but like, why not like speed up something that we recognize is in our blind spot and trying to fix that? Because I still have a problem with that. Like we can really mess people up along the way if we do that.
If we date while depressed? Yes. But people are doing it irregardless of what we're saying right now.
That doesn't make it right. That's
no. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is
it's happening.
It's happening. And some people aren't I get what you're saying. You can mess people up. You got issues going on, and you just like you can mess your children up by raising a child when you haven't gone to therapy. Yet still it's being done. And some children, we all got trauma. But some children, I guess it's bad to say that, but they survive.
Well, I was oh my gosh. Let's hope that they're not on survival mode. Woo.
I guess it's bad to say that.
But honestly, do we really want to fix all the problems in the world? There would be no stories to tell.
I wouldn't say fix all the problems, but I'm just saying like
what would be the inspiration for attacking life if you fix every single issue we have in the world?
That's true too.
Where's gonna be the inspiration to come for the next generation? I'm not saying that mental health isn't something that needs to be addressed.
It's funny that you said that, because my question was going to be to William. This was a piece of this from last week's topic was, while we're dating, how can we navigate the conversation to know if there are cues in this person that like they're still dealing with something? Like, I don't want to go down that road.
Well, we know the cues.
Huh?
We all know the cues when we.
Some people are not having those conversations while, like,
then you're not effectively dating, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you're just going to have fun. You're not dating looking for a person that's going to be around for a while. You going bowling and eating. You know what I mean? Like that's a different thing. So if you're intentionally dating and you're doing it for a reason, you're listening to this person. You're not going to a loud club. Right? You're going to go to a lounge, maybe, or you're going to go to a restaurant where it's quiet, where you can talk.
Right.
and you hear what's going on.
But
so it's
that's
about how you're
exactly
dating.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, to Kimmy's point,
Mhm.
I'm going on it. The person who is unhealed or just like, out here and still doing whatever they need to do for their mental space and dating, they probably wouldn't even recognize that person is not, you're not on their menu anymore or whatever it is because of that. And then it will still fall into friends with benefits or something like that. And then at the end of the day, they're like, oh, well, I really trusted you and blah, 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 blah. And you're still hurt. Now that person has hurt you even more. That is detrimental. So it's just like, instead, if that's the case, if you want to the need for touch or stuff like that, why not just make it friends with benefits? Or
I think so maybe I should be more clear. I think that you can date while being depressed, as long as you're in therapy. And I'm not talking about this is your first therapy session. I'm like, it's something that you've been doing ongoing and you are healing. But I feel like waiting until you are completely healed. Like, are we ever really completely healed?
No, that's a waste of time.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying about completely
we would
healed.
never date.
No,
I get what you're saying. Also,
it doesn't mean that you're completely fixed. If that's what you're talking about, like we're broken and then wait till you're fixed to go out and date. No, but if you are like, there's a thing. It's clinically depressed. Like we're using depression very loosely.
Exactly.
Like, there's clinically depressed. Like you have been, tested and we watched you and we know that you are in a different state of mind right now. That person should not be going out and seeking a relationship if they haven't started in the process of healing and getting better. Now, as far as the way we're using depressed, like you're just going through something, you have a problem that you didn't solve, you have some baggage from an old relationship, that stuff. Yeah, people date like that all the time, but it always comes up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta remove that. Yeah.
Why don't you trust this person? Why don't you trust this new person? Because of what the last person did. Because this new person didn't even have the opportunity to do it yet. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the danger there, where it's like, okay, well, I'm going through something. I have some problems. My last relationship just ended. I don't even belong out here.
Right.
But I'm out here. And this person's been looking for 6 months. I'm their date. And, I'm just having fun. They're falling for me in the first date, right? We have a second date and they think it's something now. And I'm just trying to get that old person out of my head. I'm just having fun. This person's falling in love. You know what I mean? It's like,
and are there any true solutions to that? Like viable solutions that people can apply?
I'm not even going to make up anything. Dating as an adult is the Wild West. Like I think
I agree
right now that I consider myself so lucky
to
have gotten out of the
market.
The market early. You know what I mean? Because
I said this in another live, and Koron was making fun of me, talking about, said, I'm being negative, brother. You gotta approach. I'm like, listen, man, it's crazy out here, man. It's not something that I recommend.
It's about you doing what you have to do. See, the world's going to do what they got to do. So right now, we're talking to individuals on this show. Whoever's listening to this show, the few people that listen to this show, we're trying to give them the knowledge and the information to make the change. And then hopefully from there, they can help some more people. But you're right. You're not going to save everyone. But you, the individual, you have to, like I told you, you got to be a better hunter. Not that you can't.
Koron, it's the Wild West.
Well, wait. But no, listen.
And pterodactyls and stuff you ain't never seen before.
I'm not saying that you don't have success in getting the numbers and things like that. What I'm saying is you have to get to the point where, like you said before, you're trying to eat. You're not just you're actually trying to eat. So you just got to, do some things differently. Like I say, cast a wider net. It's like the Allen Iverson.
He wants me to cast a wild net in Jurassic Park.
Yes, you take more shots, and you're gonna make buckets. You may not, the percentage may be horrible.
I appreciate your optimism, man. It's a motivation factor for me, bro.
Right. Hey,
I'm vicariously dating through you, dating through me. If that makes sense.
Hey, listen, man.
I tell you what, like Koron is a life coach, and that's a life counseling kind of outlook on it. I'm going to use my consultant background and let you know that it may work to do the opposite. I don't think it should be thrown out a net.
I agree.
I think that you should throw out one with a worm on it. You know what I mean? And make sure where you put that worm is the right environment.
Mhm.
I agree. I'm more targeted with my approach now, much more laser focused with the approach, but it's
Okay, hold on. So when I say cast wide net, like what I say is, and I said this before too, people should date more people. And when I say date more people, I don't mean smash more people. I
it's the
mean
people we got
talk.
the issue with, Koron.
Right. I'm just saying talking to people, having conversations, developing friendships. That's what I mean by casting a wide net. I'm not saying go out there and fall in love with this one, this one, this one, this one. What I'm saying is you have to have more conversations to really
Yeah.
see which
I
one
agree. I didn't
would
disagree with that, and
manifest.
I have tried that. What I'm saying is that people's
tell my
records, like
sister that.
you build a network of friends and people, and you get to meet other people that you might be interested in through that network. But that person's relationship with that person, that female, that woman, might not be the same relationship, or they might not see them in the dating light that somebody else would. Like homegirls, for example. That's my homegirl. She's a good friend. Da da da. Then she recommends her to you, but her outlook when it comes to guys is completely different from what her homegirl experiences her as. And then your homegirl is really like this, but she's like, no. What? I'm like, have you dated her? Oh, okay, so you put it up.
Right. And you're going to have to go through, unfortunately, you're going to have to go through a lot of that.
I
I'm
wouldn't
tapping
even
out.
say unfortunately.
tapping out.
Fortunately.
But
When
in
you
his
find the
case,
right
'cause
one,
he
when you
seems
find the right
bothered by it.
one, you'll know. You'll know
You'll
when you find
know.
the right one.
Yeah,
But
you'll know.
I'm telling you, like for you can't do nothing right now about your situation, but wish you the best and let you know and let you know that there's a counterpart out there that's going through the same thing you're going through. And I hope y'all find each other, because that's the one you want to find. The one who is like, oh, I am in the Wild West and I don't want to be out here. Oh, me either. You know what I mean? It's like that's the one you want to date. But for people who are out there who have not, maybe you haven't gotten to our age yet. If you are in that age of 18 to 25, that's probably the best time to find a person that you want to build a life with. And I know that you're still growing mentally.
Oh, they disagree with you, sir. They disagree with you.
Who's that?
I brought that up. They disagreed with me vehemently.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm a living example, but so we can argue about that in another. I won't take up anymore. I know we over, but definitely.
But Will, you are the anomaly. You and my brother are two anomalies, bro.
You just named two anomalies that grew up with you.
No, that's a fact. But do understand? No.
I mean, like,
do understand that I know hundreds of guys, and I've seen them in early relationships. So you're the 2%. You're not the standard, bro. It's easy to speak like that when you're in their house. You eat high on the hole. You married for 12 years, so you got.
It's easy to state that, but let's remember that I went to Morehouse College, right? Morehouse College damn near shares the same campus as Spelman College, right?
Right.
Do you know how many Morehouse Spelman marriages there are?
Yeah.
You should look up that number.
Yeah,
and you will know that there's nothing rare about it.
But you're talking about colleges, sir. Those are two colleges out of
18 to 25. That's college life.
What? Sorry.
That's not the majority, sir.
Younger is better. It's just better because you get to experience life at an earlier age and learn each other and look at each other in different stages as you go through the different phases of life. When you 35 or you pass 30, you're starting to become set in your ways. It's harder to get somebody else to fit the structure and the puzzle that you've become. But when you're younger, you're more accepting of mistakes. You're more accepting of everything. And then you move up the stages of life together and see each other. If we didn't have this whole thing about this trying to do everything on your own, if we could take that out of the picture, it would make more sense to grow up together, to build together.
Oh my gosh, that's another.
That's going to work for some. Look, it's going to work for some, and it's not going to work for some. So we could put out examples with both examples. People that've been together since they were 16, they get 26, they grow old. Oh, I realize that I don't want to be. So it can go either way. All I'm telling you, sir, is to don't lose hope. There is hope. There
Brother,
is
I
a
think you
woman
got
for me
enough
out
hope
there.
for the both of us, man.
Hey, yo, bro, I'm telling you, when you find her, you're gonna be like, yo, Koron said that, this day will come. So, just don't give up, I mean, it's one thing if you say you want to take a break from dating, you can.
Oh no, no,
like if you,
I'm on a hiatus, brother. I'm on a hiatus.
yeah, no, that's fine. But
Well,
don't be surprised if while you're on the hiatus, that one might just come. Sometimes when you don't look, you might see something might just come up under your nose too. That does happen.
Might be right.
Ask yourself where would you want to go with your girl? Your girl.
What would I want to do, Stephen?
Where would you want to go? What place would you hang out with the girl that you're looking for?
Oh, I'm a complete nerd, man. I'm a geek. I do museums, I do all kinds of interesting things like that.
There. Go to the museum, go to a book fair, go to a book signing about some self-help stuff. That's where she's gonna be.
Join a book club.
Don't just join any book club, but like go.
No, join them. Trust me.
What I want to do is when I'm in a relationship, me and my girl, we're gonna hang out here. You should still go there because there are single women who are there, and you're already where you would want to take your girl, and you already know that this girl here, she enjoys this. You know what I mean? So you already got,
and that's a common interest off the bat.
Yeah, you got to do that. I mean, and women listening to this, you should do that too. I'm just happen to be talking to him right now, but go where you would want to go with your significant other, because that's where they are. They're just not your significant other yet.
That makes sense.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact. And listen, man, I'm telling you, you're gonna see the one. It's just gonna appear. You're gonna be like, "World, what is this?"
I swear, man, I don't know what Koron is on, man. I need some, bro. I need whatever you want, bro. I need that.
Yo, Will just gave you the jewel.
You would just say, Kimmy?
I said it's called positivity. He said, "What is Koron?" I said it's called positivity. Law of attraction.
Listen,
right?
I know I'm eating high on the hog too.
You gotta put positivity out in the world to get it back. Okay,
that's the net he's talking about casting.
I'm talking like I know it. I don't know nothing because I'm mad negative half the time.
No, but seriously, yeah, that's a good point. That Will said, because I did say something similar to that, not like that though. He knocked that out the park. I said, remember, if you into the church, go to the church. Same kind of concept. Like you gotta put yourself in the position where the person that you like to be, that you want that compatibility with, you gotta put yourself there. Yeah.
Introverts aren't very social and they don't really like to go out. So
right. So Sherry, I think we're on you now, right? You didn't say anything. What's your final question or comment?
While dating. Well, Kimmy really hit a lot of the stuff that I wanted to ask about, but more so now, I think that people are depressed because they're doing so much like independent self stuff, and I'm like, how? Not even how, but like, why? Why do people think that anything is self-made, self-built, anything? I'm so independent, and like it causes you so much stress to get out of your lane, to be alone. Like you didn't get here alone, and you're actually not gonna die alone. Nobody does. It takes a lot of things to make those things happen. What?
We don't die alone?
See, that's the thing. People overuse that. Like, no, you don't die alone. Think about the things that are inside of your body that help you die. Like, and
are you talking about organs and stuff like that?
No, like the organisms that come into your body. You're eating bad foods. Like say you're dying from cancer. You think that you're dying alone, and people helped you to get that way.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, you didn't just die. Something happened to you to speed up your death.
That's one way to look at it. That's one.
So Nick, what you got to say, brother? What you got to say?
Talk about what Sherry said.
Listen, man. Final words. We already talked about how to. It was two topics: how to improve your mental health. We covered that in the first hour or so, and then we also want to talk about depression while dating or in your relationship. Do you have any final comments or things you would like to address tonight?
Was it? Yo, Kimmy said it. She said, you can't fix it. And I agree. I don't think it's supposed to be something that's fixed. I think all of this is just a filter. Who the strong make it through, the people who do their due diligence, the people who do the necessary preventative maintenance on their mental health and relationships and distance themselves from negative energy and attract or do their best to put themselves in position to attract the right energy towards them. They're the people who have the successful lives that we all probably covet and envy or wish we could have for ourselves. I just look at it as a filter, man. I really do. That and all the other, I guess, ailments that come with living. This is another, me and my cousin were talking about this earlier, just life. Like, we're always trying to fix things. Like, why are we trying to fix things all the time? Like, you know, it shows us who we are, man. Like, the darkness really shows you who you are. You know, even if it's mental health or societal issues, do you break down when stress is around? Do you have a mechanism that you've developed over the time to wrestle with it and you know, rise above it? Or do you just conform and just think somebody else is going to do it? All these things tell you who you are as you grow older. I don't know why, you know, I think it is what it is. This is what it's supposed to be. This is the first time any of us are living. This is the first time any of us will be this age. There's no handbook. You know, it's really a test of who you are, who you're trying to become, how you're developing yourself. And I think that also speaks to mental health. I was reading this book, The Gulag, and some of the circumstances some people have gone through, even when it comes to like the Jewish concentration camps and stuff like that. Some people couldn't take it, killed themselves, you know, broke down mentally, and some people could get through that. I don't know if I could under those conditions, even in Black people's history, you know, back in slavery days. Shoot, I'd have punched out. That shit was crazy.
I tell myself all the time, I'd have been a runner. My back would have been torn up.
I tried, but Lord have mercy. You know, the things they did to people, some of the contraptions and creative ways they came with inflicting pain on human beings. It's just like you put all that creativity towards something more positive, you could have gotten a lot further with humanity. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I would have had to have done it first because I don't want to see it and then get the fear. I got to do it first.
But there has to be a higher plane of existence, man. The more I think about it, because what we are as human beings is so unique. Even though to us it seems common, on a wider scale it seems very, you know, once in a lifetime happening. But there's not enough time in a human span to completely understand just what you are, just what we are. There's not enough time.
Yeah,
and that's even grappling with the psychological aspect. Was that?
Yeah, I said that's awesome. I mean, that's an awesome outlook on life as far as your approach. But I think everybody should at least have an approach.
Yeah.
I mean, your approach is, hey, you don't have to fix everything. My personal approach is, I want to fix everything because I know other things are coming, and
me too.
The more I fix, the better I feel my surroundings and my environment can be for me and for my circle. But it's all about your outlook. Again, we don't know what this life thing is, why it is, anything. So I think that as long as we all have an outlook on life, then we're good, because that's going to be your life. Now, my outlook, I'm looking for a challenge. I'm looking to overcome that challenge. I'm looking for the next one. Yours is, okay, well, so pretty much survival of the fittest. If I'm meant to survive this, I will. If I am not, I will not. And that's an outlook on life also. I don't think there's a wrong way, but I think that we should choose a way, or we can be going around in circles our entire life.
So that's a good point. That's needed though. Like, I think it's a balancing between even Koron, because I think Koron is more on the extreme side of everything must be fixed. We can't.
Wait, everything
through.
No, wait, hold on. I'm for self-improvement. Like if I know that I need to work on something, I'm gonna work on something.
Right.
So I'm gonna I try personally to turn my strengths into weaknesses, my weaknesses into strengths. I know most people don't think like that. That's why I always know I'm gonna be successful because I'm willing to do the things that most people aren't willing to do. And then if I could work with other people that are willing to do those things, then I will have a successful group of people. So we're not here to fix the billions. You know, we're here to work with the thousands, the like-minded people, and
No,
then
but
hopefully they can work with some more people.
Nah,
approach I agree with.
Yannick, you triggered me. You triggered me through Koron. There is nothing wrong with trying to fix things, okay? If you
Yeah,
see
especially
something,
if you know it.
say
My
something.
bad. She is the extremist. My fault. Sherry's the extremist. I
Yeah,
apologize.
if you know
Come on,
something
my
needs to be
apologies, sir. I
fixed,
take that back.
if you know something needs to be fixed, you should work to fixing it.
Right.
So,
If you
No,
see
actually,
something,
I'm
say
not disagreeing
something.
with that. What I'm saying is that no matter what generation we look at, even going back, there's always been the same level of malevolence in comparison to the light. Like that, those things are never going anywhere. It's never gone anywhere. We've had Genghis Khans, Hitlers, Stalins, Mussolinis. It's never gone anywhere. The pressure. I think the pressure is to tell you who you are. It's to tell you. It's more of an introspective thing than there's people who lose their minds because stuff is happening halfway across the world, and other people who are completely oblivious to the atrocities that are happening around the world. They could sleep fine at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. It doesn't. I hate saying it doesn't. It does matter. It does matter. I can't say it doesn't matter, but it matters. But it matters to you as the individual. So it's better to equip the individual to handle it than to try to fix the situation. It's better to equip the individual person. There's been black people during the height of racism in this country who've started banks and owned real estate and done all this stuff, and then you ask yourself how comes they were able to and others weren't.
Well, I think that answer is simple. It's the people who want to solve problems and the people
right.
who are good with
started with them. What before we help others, how did you become the person who could in that type of environment?
Right. So let's say where we grew up. So Koron's from Brooklyn, right? He lived in East Flatbush. I'm from Brownsville in Brooklyn. And
oh, have mercy.
It's not an excuse. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a bigger challenge for me. It's a lot harder for me to get where I am today than it was for somebody who grew up and took the house from their parents after their parents passed down the block from me right now. It was a different thing, but I took on that challenge. And then there's people who I grew up with who still live in the building I lived in when I was in high school.
Right. But the question I would ask about what you just said is that what is it in you? If you all came from the same soil, same seed,
what's different?
Same toxic soil.
Listen, man, some are going to rise to the top, some are going to sink.
Yes. What is that difference, Koron? What is that difference that makes somebody want to rise?
There is no answer.
You're all in the same neighborhood.
Listen,
there's no way to answer that question without
there's
sounding
no
like
answer.
Pompous a-hole.
There's
no way. There's no way to answer that question without sounding conceited or cocky.
Well, Neek, are you saying that it's the luck of the draw?
No. I don't think I really don't think it's the luck of the draw. I think it's something inside of us that we have something has to be inspired. All of us has the potential. If you're a child at any point in your life, there was the luck of the
draw as to who gets that specific gift that you're
it could be a chance coming around somebody who says something to you and just stuck with you.
That's why we do the podcast.
Right. The key word that you said is inspiration. Lack of inspiration could be also.
I know, but look at some of the people who are in bleak situations. I'm very interested in to know what cracks open a person's potential. That's what
they gotta crack it open.
Various things.
I know there is. You're right.
Yeah,
but like I'm sorry, your name is William?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Like William's situation in Brownsville, I'm pretty sure you got a story to tell because that's one of the toughest neighborhoods in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you saw a lot of things that, children shouldn't see.
Right.
And you can easily slip down that slippery slope into being on the corner. I was in that position as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like easily slip down that, because you see the
Absolutely.
flash, you see the cars, you see the ladies. What is it? You know, there's a point in every successful person's life. They talk about that pivotal point where they made that decision not to go one way or the other.
Lord, fix him. No.
Right? It looks so cute.
But say it again?
I can give you really quick. I
Now
can
we
give
looking
you a
at
quick
Koron
one.
and Launch Pro.
Oh yeah, you see her mess with me, right? This is every day.
Making sure you sharp, you know?
My personal, I guess, trying to figure out what you're looking for as far as that point in time. I grew up single parent home, right? Now, my father lived in the same borough, but I didn't see him like that. So the relationship wasn't there, right? So my thing was, I'm the oldest. I can't mess up. I need to be able to help my mother. I can't be another stressor to my mother. I know that there's better out there, and I'm going to get it.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I really do feel like it is inspiration, because there was literally no way that 1 million people just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to march the 1,000,000-man march without the level of inspiration that they all didn't have a similar idea.
For sure. They were coerced. I mean, yeah, it was probably a group of 10 to 20 people that said we're going to gather 1 million people. Yes, for sure. But I think what he's asking is how those 20 people get to that point of believing that they can even
How did
gather.
you get the Martin Luther King to get those millions? How did Martin Luther King get to Martin Luther King to be inspired, to be able to inspire 1 million people to show up? Or a Nelson Mandela?
Listen, some people will rise to the top, some people won't. It's no real answer, man.
That's
no
my
Mr.
story. That's what I'm trying to say. You gave me a little pushback, Koron. I was like, all right, because you're super positive and all of this stuff, and it's necessary. I think it takes all types to make the world go around. But I'm just really,
we're working with the people that want to work.
That's psychological.
But Nick, that's the key. We're working with the people that want to work.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You have to work with the people that want to work. You can't. You're not going to save everyone. That's just not what's going to happen. So we hope that people listen to shows like this, they catch inspiration, and then they decide, you know what, I wanted to make this change. That's why shows like these are important. But I don't want to step on your point, because we wind it down. I want to make sure you got it all out. I know you're not good with the answers.
We usually push it to like 4 or 5 hours, and Koron has had enough of that. That's it.
Yeah, we can't do like 4 or 5 hours.
That's it.
We don't have a direct answer outside of some will rise, some will fall, but we're trying to help the people rise that want to rise. And when they want to, and if they decide, the people who don't rise, when they decide they want to rise, they could always come back to these shows, listen to them, get the inspiration, and rise to the top. So I just want to make sure you got it out, because I want to close. Launch Pro, you got something you want to say?
Just to add to that point, I think overall it's just a matter of someone's determination. I've accomplished quite a lot in my 32 years, all the while dealing with anxiety, right? Now, I think there are moments in your life where you'll have like a burst of energy. I think, most human beings can relate to that. You're not always like sunken down in despair. So there might be, moments where you have a burst of energy, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you just put forth tremendous inspired action, and in that way, you're able to accomplish or achieve great feats. You know what I'm saying? I think that could possibly be the answer to your question. It's the person's decision to take inspired action. It all comes down to the individual's decision-making skills. Are they going to continue to be? Huh?
Have you ever been in a situation where you're performing a task or trying to accomplish something, and it feels like it's the motivation, the energy, and the focus is not coming from you; it's coming from outside of you?
No.
Yes.
I have not personally felt that way. No.
Really?
The motivation has definitely come from me. In fact,
Energy and the drive, like
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. To be honest, like I realized that external factors. If I am fueled by external factors and it doesn't organically come from within, I actually put forth mediocre effort.
Yep.
That's just my
like
personal
influences of other people.
Yeah, influences of other people, or potentially wanting to do things for other people, and that's the reason why I'm motivated. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think that can never be a right motivating factor. I think it has to be personal, but I'm saying on your journey, like you're doing whatever you have to do, and the energy and the drive to stay up and pursue it no matter what. It sometimes it feels like it's not within your personal strengths.
What do you mean?
Okay, so I'll say this. I have been in serendipitous situations. I've been in situations where I've put forth the idea or the notion that I'm going to do something, and then it just falls in line, and suddenly, like, I'm blowing forth with
It's It's like effortless, right?
Yeah, like the accomplishments become effortless. Like, for example, I remember when I had my my dessert business, and I started my dessert business, and I put forth the effort because at the time cupcakes were a thing, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna start baking because I like to bake. And what ended up happening was within 2 months, like I ended up having my product featured on reality series on VH1, Black Enterprise interviews, Madame Noir interviews, all kinds of stuff. But it started with me putting forth the notion, right?
Yeah.
And working towards that. But I understand what you're saying. Like, I always understand like what you say. I've been in serendipitous situations where it's like the success or the trajectory seems effortless.
Right. And I wonder if that's part of the greater energy that we're all connected to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do put on the initial work, and then you reach a point where everything just cascades. And I mean, some people call it being in the zone. There's a whole bunch of different ways people describe.
I think it also is like inspiration meets opportunity, kind of like what she said in the beginning. Yes, you're inspired. She was just making cupcakes because she liked to make cupcakes. She's very good at it. She does it, and then I mean, I don't know.
The law of attraction.
and I'm a big believer.
Yeah, you
law of attraction.
Put it on the internet, it catches the eye of somebody, and all of a sudden you're in a magazine. It could be, wow, I just was making this for fun, and you saw it.
Right, and then it morphed
all
into
things
something.
Work out for my good, right?
Right.
The two key things that people should remember is that this is something you should do, and this is something I'm trying to teach the babies, that you do the things that you love to do or the things you're good at. If you stay there, you'll find some joy and some fulfillment. Is when you start doing other things because you think it's going to bring you some fame, some money, some whatever other things you think that's going to come with it, and those are your motives. You more than likely will run across some hardship, and when you come across that hardship, it's going to be hard to continue. So if you just focus on the things that you like to do or the things you're good at, you'll kill it.
And you had this conversation with me today, Koron.
I sure did. And
Will
he's a great example of that. And I definitely want you, Will, if anything you want to promote, let the people know,
Sure. So if you are interested in mindset motivation, if you find yourself looking for motivation, I think I give it weekly. So in the form of blogs every Monday, maybe during lunchtime, you can go to isdrills.com and read a blog. It might get your mind going. It might push you. It might be a message for somebody else, so where you can go to your friend and tell them. On Wednesdays, I produce a thing called Drills Talk, where I get into depth about mindset motivation, and the topic changes every week, so it's not monotony, and you may find of interest that. So you can go to issues.com and you can basically find everything that I'm talking about as far as mindset motivation there. And you can also see another side of me where you see that I'm sitting in the studio. You can hear, that I'm a musician and I make music, and I also release a new instrumental every week. So if you're interested in that, go to issues.com. It's plenty there right now, but it's new stuff there every other day.
Excellent, man. And final thoughts. If you want to sum up anything, you did a lot.
Sure.
Of you. I mean, man, you pulled out the what was the six?
Yeah, the wellness circle. So I call
the
it the
wellness circle.
Yeah, I call it the 6 hours of wellness. And then reciprocal determinism is something that I think can help everybody. Just being aware that your thought process is affected by your behavior and your environment. Your environment, is also reciprocated and can be affected by you are where you are because of the way you think and the way you behave.
Right. And then
you're
like that. I'm sorry?
You're a gamer?
I am not a gamer. I'm a musician.
Oh, and I saw the PlayStation t-shirt, I was about to say.
Oh, nah. Yeah, I mean, I got a PlayStation, but I'm not I wouldn't say I have friends who are gamers, and I know what a real one is, and I'm not that.
Yeah, they're very specific about what they mean when you say
they're ranked, you know what I mean? They're ranked and all that stuff. I just happen to have a PlayStation. You know what I mean? That's
right. Cool. Right. So perfect, man. This has been a great show. I just want to thank everybody for joining the panel. Even though I have my difficulties, I got to go back and watch the other parts of the show. But definitely, if you came onto the show late, you need to go backwards because there was a lot of jewels in the beginning of the show. I do want to close out by saying, if you are going through mental health, definitely one of the resources we pulled up was mentalhealth.gov. But Drill, did you say you had anything that you also wanted to point to people to? I couldn't remember. If not, it's fine.
Well, if they are interested in wellness consultation from me,
right? Okay, yeah.
You can go to clarity.fm/William Bradford.
I'll put that in the description as well, so they could get that checked out. But definitely, if you've been listening to the show, if you're a part of the Mature Topics podcast group, shout out to the group. I forgot to shout them out. Group is growing. We got a nice community over there. Definitely, the resources are there. If you do know someone and they're doing any of the things I talked about before, or some of the early warning signs, I wish I could have showed the screen, but it has it on the website. I'm not going to read it again. If you came in late, you could go back to the beginning. We went through it, but definitely try to get them help, especially if it's a loved one. You could even contact counselors too to ask what you can do to help someone as well. So with that being said, it's been a great night, guys. I hope we all got out of our chest. Next week we'll be back. Thursday, same time, new topics. I'm pretty sure Launch Pro, you got a topic you want to talk about. We'll figure it out and we'll promote it early in the week like we normally do. But thank everybody for coming out. It's been a beautiful show. And just have a blessed night.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.